thought I went live, but I guess I didn't actually go live. I fake went live. I surprise went live. Hi, Ash. Wow, look at those pretty flowers. I don't need to be on this screen right now, but I am. 'Cause I want to. I could be on my other screen. Okay. Oh! Hi, Concept! 3 months, 3 months. What's Warrior Cat Wednesday? Oh, it means It means Warrior Cat Wednesday. Hi, Teddy! Oh my gosh, I was wondering where you went. I feel like you disappeared for a while. 3 months. 3 months. But yeah, it means Warrior Cat Wednesday. Even though it's not Wednesday today. Oh, that's what I forgot. Hold on. Pride. Wait. Pride. Wait. Pride. Oh. They finally have fur at the log boy. Now continue to fish. You guys have to stop doing that. Oh, after my little debacle with your... There was a debacle? Oh, no. Alright, now you can fish. You guys have to stop spamming it. I feel like this is what you have to learn. Spam at your own risk. Boo, 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 boo. Wait, why do I have a hype train almost? Weird. Oh, cool item for once. They're all cool. No, you gotta give us water spray bottle. Bad check. Bad check. Bad pop cups. Stinky pop cups. Where's Stream Raiders? Stream Raiders. Oh. What the heck? Where? Oh, there it is. Stream Raiders here. Oh my god, guys. Boss battle. I didn't realize that's how far we were. Right. I'll get my Needle Warrior, my strongest ally in all of this commotion. The itsy bitsy battle went up the water spout, down came the rain and washed the spider out. Is that what they say? Alright, guys. Get your guyses in. We gotta get... Bye, Teddy! You don't need to promise anything, Teddy. Just, I'm glad that you're okay. You seemed to vanish real suddenly, so I was kind of worried. Because your account went poop. Wait, we already fought this boss. Wait, really? No, we haven't. Look, I haven't opened up this yet. We haven't. Oh, reusing a boss. Jeez. Oh no, it's hidden. Oh, I think you got gold. Pride, I think you got gold. That's so nice. Guys, I have some real mallows today, which are perhaps it was spoon. When I was little, you know how sometimes when you go to like a mine or something, they'll have so mean. They'll sometimes have like lots of like gold themed things in the gift shop. Like for example, those like gold flakes and water, or like gold flavored gum, or like, I mean gum flavored gold. No, it's like gold, like gum, but it's shaped as tiny gold rocks, and they're in these funny little shapes. And when I was like really little, me and my sister, we would like go on trails, and then we would like put. Whoa! What is that? It's like a cube of everything. But we got like the little gums, and we used to think like, oh yeah, this must be foolproof. Like when somebody sees this, they're gonna think it's gold. And so we would, when we were like on the walking trail, we would like put the gold in the ground, like the little gold gum in the ground, so that people walking by might see it and think that they found gold, but actually it was gum. But looking back, it was like it probably just looked like a rock. Maybe nickel. Gold flavored gum. What the heck would that even taste like? I think it was just gum flavored. Don't eat gold to find out what it tastes like. Personally, I like bismuth flavored gum. Isn't bismuth like toxic? This is reminding me that we're selling like baseball gum at work, and I always forget to buy it, even though I want it. Munch on some of that uranium. Oops. I opened up my strawberry marshmallow bag too big. Yeah, big league chew. Yeah. Whoa, guys. These marshmallows are really soft. Uranium, no, like uranium. Wow, Phil, that's what I call friendship. That's what a friend is for. So guys, you may be wondering, how was my shifts? So, I was supposed to only help in pharmacy. Well, yeah, I was going to just help in pharmacy, and I thought that, you know, I would just like put away stock or something. I don't know what I thought I was going to do. But they wanted me to work the front, and I had to be like, sorry, I don't know how to do cash. And so they had to like, they wanted me to do the front so badly that they trained me how to go on cash. And so I was a cash kind of person. But it's different when it's in pharmacy, because what you do is you have to ask for their name, and then you have to go looking for the thing, like their medicine. And I didn't know any of, like, I don't know what the medicine is. So I couldn't tell you if it was in the fridge or how much it was or what it even was. Name, birthday, meds. Yeah, that's exactly what I asked for. And yeah. And the first day was pretty okay. I got to work in the front a little bit, but I also got to do some stock medicine, and then I got to like get the pill bottles and scribble out the names on the pill bottles. That was my favorite thing to do, because it was the most monotonous. and I got to sign a pharmacy classified form. I forgot what it's called. Classified information, sensitive information. I forget what it's called. Anyways, I got to sign it. So technically, I'm officially a pharmacy assistant, which is cool. They gave me a lab coat, so now I look really, really professional. Confidentiality, yeah! Classified. And then today it was really, 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 really busy because we were backed up from the day before. And the reason why I was even there was because it was like so backed up and they haven't gotten a chance to do everything because we were down for so long. Yeah, I'm the science team now. And so we had a lot of people, and like, I think if I had 10 customers, 5 of them, maybe even 6 of them, their meds weren't ready. So I had to tell every single person, like, oh yeah, like, sorry, your meds are like, well, not every person, but you know what I mean. I had to be like, yeah, we're really behind. Like, can you come back? And then sometimes they'd be like, no, or why, or like, how long will it take? And then today there was this lady, and I was like at the brink of death because I hadn't taken a break. I didn't take a break today because it was just weirdly timed. And so I had been working from 5 a.m. and it was like almost the end of my shift. And I had like tried to file, like I was trying to organize files in the back instead. And then they called for like another person in the front. So I was like, okay, whatever, fine. I go to get this lady, and then I go get this lady. I go get this lady, and then I put in her stuff, and then I go, and it wasn't ready actually. It wasn't ready. And so I asked the pharmacist if they could do it really fast. And she was like, yep, it's just like 2 minutes. And I was like, okay. And so I went to go talk to this lady. And I was like, okay, it's not actually done, but they are up, or like it's up next. So it'll be 2 more minutes, or like it's almost done. It's just up next. And then she was like, you could tell, like I could tell at least, like she had this on the tip of her tongue. She was like, well, I got a call. I was told to come pick it up. It was supposed to be done. And I was like, well, it isn't. What do you want me to say? And she's like, well, why did you why would it message me? Like, you shouldn't do that. And I don't actually know anything about how their system works because I don't even work here, like in this department. And so I'm thinking, oh, okay. Hi, T-Quarium! Nice to see you. And I was like, oh, thank you! You're pretty. Those are really cute emotes. And so I was like, well, it's okay. I was trying to say, oh, thank you for the hug. I was trying to tell this person, like, I'm like, lady, like, well, I didn't say lady. I was like, well, it's just like literally 2 minutes away. Like, she's doing it right now. You're not gonna have to wait. It's just like I'm just gonna give it to you in a second. Listen here, lady. Thank you, T-Aquarium. And I was like, you're jealous. What the? I'm jealous. And I was like, oops. And she just kept on going. She's like, yeah, I don't know, like how, like it was supposed to be done a day ago. I got the message, and I was like, thinking back on it, I think maybe the way that the system works is you get a text when it's supposed to be done. Like when we log it in the system, it has kind of like a time limit, and it'll like, if you sign up for, I think maybe texts, then it'll alert you, be like, oh yeah, we like your subscriptions or your whatever prescriptions are ready. And that would be like, technically that's when it was due. Like, it would have been done that time if we were so You're seeing your pretty aunt on the tea. You are swarming me with praises. So sweet of you. And I'm sure your voice is wonderful. I didn't like my voice. I still don't really like my voice when I have to listen. Oh my god, I love Ribbon Eel. Look at him. He is so funny. He is screaming. Ah, that's what he's saying. So I guess it must have just did that. And I was like, okay, like what, like it's literally almost done. And then she was like in the middle of her rant, and then and she's busy like rolling her eyes, and she's huffing and puffing, and I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. And then I see her like, and then the thing's up, so I grab it and I give it to her, and it's covered by insurance. And I was just trying to be like happy. I was like, it's free, because you know, like she didn't have to pay after all that. And then she was like, actually it's not free, my insurance covers it. And she says that while she's like walking away, and I'm like hello. And she was so like, I was like so flabbergasted. I was like, I'm leaving. I'm like, I went back to filing stuff because I was like so like shook. And it's not even like a really bad, like, I mean, there was this one guy today and he was so mad. Like he was like talking so loudly, and he was right next to me, to this lady. And if that were me, I would have been like crying on the spot. Because he's like, you've had 2 days to do this. Come on, guys. Like, I don't understand why it's taking so long. And we're just like, sir, we're really backed up. If you haven't heard, our stores were closed for a week. Our systems aren't even back up right now. Technically, we have this, like, apparently we have this system where when someone presses a button on your profile, the bag that your medicine is in will start beeping and lighting up. And I was like, dang. Guess I can't be friends with you, Big Sag. Oh, yeah, that's my disclaimer. But we can be buddies in stream. Yeah, she was like, wait, what was I saying? We can be metaphorical friends. there's yeah, so like when someone comes in, when someone's trying to get their medicine, we press a button and then the bag flashes, so we can just run over and grab it, and we know exactly where it is in the entire pharmacy. But that system is down, so we have to manually look for it, and it's basically like scrambling around everywhere trying to find this dang bag. And sometimes the bag isn't even made yet, and we don't know until we look through all the bags, and then we have to look through all the still being processed medicines, and then we have to look through all the faxes to see if it was even sent to us. And so it's like so much to do. It's a lot. I wish the system was back on, but at the same time, if the system was back on, then I wouldn't be there helping and getting extra hours. But I really hope that tomorrow I don't have to talk to people as much. Just wanted to do that. I'm a tiger. I'm only friends with the voices in her head. It's very tragic. Yeah, it's pretty tragic. Lots of scams target pharmacies? Really? What did they do? That's scary. Hug. I'm okay. I'm still a bit shook because I'm very delicate, and When that lady was mean to me, I wanted to cry for 40 minutes. I guess even longer than that, like an hour probably. I was so sad. I'm like, I'm too weak for this. I can't do this. Why? Why am I talking to these people? One person's mean to me and I don't want to do it anymore. Oh no, that's terrible. We're trying to get information. Thank you, T. I hope you feel better too. So, enough rambling. Today we're here because yesterday I was working all day. And today I'm here to read to you. Gotta remember, it has nothing to do with you, though. They're just missing some manners. Yeah, I know. I just don't know. I think part of the reason is when it happens, I get flabbergasted. Like, I personally don't know how to respond properly. And then I get upset because I don't know how to respond. Because I'm like, what's the proper way to do this? Like, I wasn't trained for this. I don't know what to do. The other day, on my first day, I was like, hey, could you wait until tomorrow for your medicine because it's not done yet? And then she was like, well, I need it. And I was like, I know, but we don't have anybody on to be able to make it. Thank you, Flower Man! And she was like, can you, like, have you ever been, like, in severe pain? Or, like, do you, like, need to, like, be, like, have you ever had to be in pain for that long? And I was like, huh? No. Like, I didn't know how to answer that. Like, ma'am? Do you want me to say yeah? Because I could say yeah if you want me to. I don't know. Actually, ma'am, I have chronic pain. That's not true, but it would have been funny if it was. Just for that moment. For nothing else. For no other reason. Okay, I'm opening up bananas now. My banana mushrooms. Not mushrooms. Marshmallows. Marshmallows! Okay, now we're starting Warriors. Warrior Cats. I wonder where Ven is. Ven isn't here today. So previously on Warrior Cats, thank you for flowers. Thank you for flowers. Skip the day and they all disappear. So sad. It's not on their schedule. Oh, right. Okay, so what's going on right now? Previously on Warrior Cats Long Shadows, Shadow Clan is currently going through something. Soul has convinced Blackstar that they don't need to listen to Star Clan anymore, and technically they don't need a clan, and that, you know, like, there's no reason for other cats to look after other cats. Like, go hunt for yourselves. Or something like that. We don't really know all the details, just that people are starving. I mean, cats are starving. Things are not looking good. The medicine cats aren't going to the medicine cat place. So Tawny Pelt brought her kids to ThunderClan because she was upset about, like, you know, like, I don't want to be in a Shadow Clan that's like this. And all her kits are kind of, like, really sad. And they're like, I don't want to be in ThunderClan. I want to be in Shadow Clan. We found out that Flamepaw actually wants to be the new medicine cat, which is very exciting. And deeper in, like in the three kitties, our main characters, J-Paw said that when he went to the moon pool, the previous or one of the previous leaders of Shadow Clan and Medicine Cat of Shadow Clan came to J-Paw and asked him for his help to make Shadow Clan believe again. And he's like, yo, what? And then they're like, pretty please. And so he told Lion Blaze and Hollyleaf that, and they're like, well, what are we gonna do? Like, what should we, like, how are we supposed to do that? And then J-Paw was like, well, what if we give them a fake sign? Like a fake sign to make them believe in StarClan again. And so that's their kind of like plan. And now that the kits, like the apprentices, Tiger Paw, Flame Paw, and Dawn Paw, I believe, from Shadow Clan are in Thunder Clan, J-Paw's brain is kind of tick-tocking, being like, oh, maybe we can use them. We haven't really figured out what that plan is yet, but his brain is tick-tocking. And I think that's mainly it. The mentality, the mental state of our three heroes. Right now, Lion Blaze is going through something where he feels like he needs to be learning. He needs to still be learning for him to be considered the most powerful. And so he asked Ashfur if he would train with him. And so they tried training, and then they got in a really tough battle or something, and then Firestar caught them and was like, what are you guys doing? And they're like, well, we're just training. And then he's like, that was the most aggressive fight I've ever seen two warriors have. Stop fighting. And he was like, the heck? Lion Blaze was really frustrated because he doesn't want to ask Tiger Star for help training anymore, but he wants to keep training. So he's kind of struggling with that. Hollyleaf is struggling because she is so dedicated to the warrior code. The fact that there's currently 3 clans and not 4 because Shadow Clan has decided they're not a clan anymore and not following Star Clan is breaking her mind. She is really upset about it. She's all for doing whatever it takes to make Shadow Clan realize they're a clan again. And yeah. J-Paw is J-Paw. He really wants to learn about how their powers are gonna work. He's a little like, I don't know, I feel like maybe he's a little smug that he was asked to help Shadow Clan. He wants Soul to mentor him and his siblings. So he's kind of eager to like get Shadow Clan to go back to how they were so he can have Soul and then they can train with him. That's mainly his only reason. He has selfish reasons, but that's okay because he's J-Paw. Okay. That's where we are in the story. So let's begin. As usual, guys, I probably will start off not being able to read very well, but hopefully it'll lighten up as I go on. Wait, let me check my Discord first real quick. Okay, it's fine. Chapter 7. From the corner of his eyes, Lion Blaze spotted movement on the high ledge. Firestar had appeared with Brambleclaw and Tawny Pelt. Let all cats old enough to catch their own prey join here beneath the high ledge for a clan meeting, he yowled. He ran nimbly down the tumbled rocks, halting on a boulder just above the heads of the assembling cats. Even on such a gray day, his flame-colored pelt gleamed. Brambleclaw and Tawny Pelt picked their way down more slowly until they stood just behind him. Mousefur and Longtail emerged from the Elder's Den, Foxpaw and Icepaw following them, each with a bundle of soiled bedding. Lion Blaze noticed Mousefur's bristling fur and suspicious gaze, and realized that the apprentices must have told her what was going on. Graystripe appeared from the Dirt Place tunnel and padded over to join the group around the fresh kill pile, giving the Shadow Clan apprentices a friendly nod. Leafpool came to sit outside the bramble screen in front of her den, while Daisy appeared at the entrance to the nursery with the 4 kits peering curiously from behind her. Whitewing and Birchfall pushed their way out of the warrior's den and bounded across the camp to sit at the foot of the boulder where Firestar stood. Lineblaze spotted Thornclaw poking his head out between the branches of the den. Sorreltail and Squirrelflight stood side by side, flicking the tips of their tails. As the cats gathered, Lineblaze was aware of the uneasy looks cast at Tawny Pelt and the 3 apprentices. He could hear muttering, too, as if many of the warriors were unhappy at seeing Shadow Clan cats in their camp. Berrynose stalked over to the fresh kill pile. Surely Firestar's not bringing more outsiders into the clan. I hope not, Spiderleg agreed. That's what caused the battle with River Clan and Wind Clan in the first place. And where would you be, Berrynose? Lineblaze asked, his neck fur beginning to rise with annoyance, if Firestar hadn't taken in you when you were a kid. Berrynose snorted and turned his back. That's different. J-Paw leaned over to whisper into Lineblaze's ear. Yeah, he's such a special cat. Cats of ThunderClan, Firestar began when all the clan had gathered around him. You can see that Tawny Pelt of Shadow Clan has come here with her kits. We're apprentices, Flamepaw muttered. And she has asked for shelter because of the way her own clan has changed. Are you gonna agree to that? Mousefur called out from her place in the front of the Elder's Den. Hasn't there been enough trouble because of taking in other cats? Before Firestar could reply, Graystripe sprang to his paws. These cats are part of ThunderClan, he hissed. They deserve to have a home here. No cat forced Tawny Pelt to leave, Mousefur retorted. If you ask me, cats should decide where they want to live and stay there. There was a murmur of agreement. Lineblaze saw dismay in the eyes of the 3 apprentices. They don't want us here, Tigerpaw muttered. Some cats don't, Lineblaze admitted, resting his tail tip on the young cat's shoulders. But it'll be okay. Firestar will talk them around, you'll see. I understand your worries, Firestar went on, but Tawny Pelt isn't asking for a permanent home in ThunderClan. She and her kits... Dawnpaw rolled her eyes. How many more times? Are only here while Sul holds sway in ShadowClan. If she has seen through his lies, others will too, and he won't be allowed to stay for long. Then we should take a patrol across the border and drive him out, Cloudtail meowed. The lake would be well rid of him. Yes, Birchfall agreed. ShadowClan helped us, so we should... Yowls of protest drowned out his last few words. There's been enough fighting, Sorreltail meowed, glancing at Squirrelflight. Some cats are still recovering from their wounds. ShadowClan should deal with their own problems, Spiderleg added. It's no business of ours. Cloudtail whipped his head around to stare at the Black Warrior. If ShadowClan were moving in here, then it's not their own problem anymore. That's enough. Firestar raised his tail for silence. Oh my god, every single time Firestar's talking, he's been cut off. Tawny Pelt is welcome to stay here for as long as she wants. The apprentices, at last, Tigerpaw muttered, will train and perform duties alongside Foxpaw and Icepaw. Lineblaze saw the 2 ThunderClan apprentices exchange delighted glances, and he heard some of the younger warriors let out a sigh of relief at being freed from having to help the apprentice tasks. Tawny Pelt will have a place in the warrior's den and take part in the patrols, Firestar went on. Can she be trusted? Ashfur called out, especially along the ShadowClan border. Lineblaze saw Brambleclaw's fur start to bristle, but Firestar raised his tail, warning him not to retaliate. It's time for the regular patrols. He meowed, ignoring Ashfur's comment. The fresh kill pile needs restocking, and we need to keep a close eye on the border with WindClan. Brambleclaw leaped down from the rocks and began calling cats to him, splitting them up into patrols. Lineblaze, Hollyleaf, I want you to on a hunting patrol with Dustpelt and Sorreltail, and you apprentices go over there and talk to Firestar. Tigerpaw, Flamepaw, and Dawnpaw sprang up, looking a bit daunted at the thought of meeting the clan leader. You'll be fine, Lineblaze promised them, as he padded off to join Sorreltail and Dustpelt. As Sorreltail led her patrol towards the camp entrance, Lineblaze glanced back to see Firestar arranging mentors for the 3 Shadow Clan apprentices. Flamepaw was paired with Cloudtail, Tigerpaw with Breakenfur, and Dawnpaw with Spiderleg. Sandstorm and Whitewing beckoned their apprentices, Firepaw and Icepaw. "We'll all go to the clearing for some hunting practice," Sandstorm announced. Following Sorreltail through the tunnel, Lineblaze couldn't help feeling relieved that the Shadow Clan apprentices weren't receiving any battle training. At least, not yet. If they learned ThunderClan skills, wouldn't that give them an unfair advantage in future battles? Curiosity burned like a flame inside him. He wondered whether any of the three were being visited by Tigerstar in their dreams. Okay. Tigerpaw would be an obvious choice. He was big and strong, and he seemed most interested in their shared kin, especially the warriors whose name he bore. Even though he wanted to be rid of Tigerstar's menacing influence in his dreams, Lineblaze couldn't suppress a flash of jealousy that the Dark Warrior might choose another cat to mentor, a cat in a different clan. Perhaps I should warn Tigerpaw, he thought, but then I would have to tell him Tigerstar visited me. I can't do that. Lineblaze shook his head in confusion. It seemed that since Soul came here to the lake, nothing was simple anymore. Sorreltail led them towards the top of the territory, where the border gave way to open moorland, not claimed by any clan. Although the rain had stopped, the ground was muddy and the undergrowth was soaked. All the scents were damped down and hard to detect. Lineblaze shivered as he plodded along. Every fern or clump of grass that he brushed against released a shower of raindrops, and his pelt was soon sodden, the fur plastered against his body. Hunching his shoulders, he wished that he could be training for battle instead of trying to track down soggy little mice. They'll all be deep inside their burrows, hiding from the rain. Sometimes I think they have more sense than we do. Head down, he blundered into a clump of bracken, letting out a hiss of annoyance as it dumped its load of water drops all over him. Lionblaze! The yowl came from Sorreltail. Look where you're going, won't you? You just scared off the vole I was stalking. Sorry. Lionblaze's paws tingled with frustration and embarrassment. Sorry fills no bellies, Sorreltail retorted. She stood still, head raised and jaws apart as she tried to locate the vole again. Lionblaze backed off to give her space, and spotted Hollyleaf appearing from behind a bramble thicket with a mouse hanging from her jaws. Well done, he mewed as she padded up to him and dropped her prey at his paws. Lionblaze, we need to talk. Hollyleaf ignored his praise. Her eyes were wide and distraught. We have to stop what Soul is doing in ShadowClan. He's destroying the warrior code. Keep your fur on. Lionblaze was startled by his sister's intensity. We have to do what J-Paw suggested and make a fake sign from ShadowClan. And we have to do it soon. I'll do anything to remind ShadowClan cats of their warrior ancestors. Lionblaze's surprise deepened to uneasiness. The passion in Hollyleaf's eyes unnerved him. Steady, he murmured, pressing his muzzle against her shoulder. Why does it matter so much? We have our own destinies, and they don't have anything to do with the other clans. Of course it matters! Hollyleaf flashed back at him. Soul was supposed to be helping us, remember? And what will happen to the rest of us if ShadowClan abandons the warrior code? I know, Lionblaze responded, but how can we fake a sign when ShadowClan is bound to be hostile? They'll defend their beliefs because they won't want to admit they're wrong. Great Star Clan, we don't even know their territory. We don't. Hollyleaf's eyes narrowed, but there are 3 new apprentices in ThunderClan who do. Hollyleaf, that's brilliant, Lionblaze exclaimed. But will they... An annoyed hiss interrupted him. He whirled around to see Dustpelt standing a tail length away. Are you going to stand there gossiping all day? The senior warrior inquired with a lash of his tail. Or do you think that you might possibly find time to do some hunting? Sorry. Lionblaze muttered. I can't do anything right today. It might have escaped your notice, Dustpelt went on with biting sarcasm, but we have 4 new mouths to feed, and several of our own cats are sick, so they can't help with patrols. Lionblaze nodded. He realized that the tabby warrior was angry because he was worried. I'm really sorry, he repeated. We'll get going right away. See that you do, Dustpelt sniffed as he stalked off. As he tasted the ears pricked for the sound of prey, Lionblaze knew Hollyleaf was right. They had to help ShadowClan so that Tawnypelt and the apprentices could go home, and ThunderClan could concentrate on making itself strong again. Okay, we have a brief pause in this chapter, so we're gonna quickly finish. Do this. Let's go! We got this for sure. Definitely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Woo! Boom, boom, boom. Oh no. Interesting. R.I.P. We didn't win. Aw, thanks. Alright, let's try that again, boys. Alright, this time I'm gonna use a should I use my vampire? I'm gonna use my vampire this time. Alright, we got this, guys. This time for sure. Place 3 vampires. Nice. Okay, continuing. Lineblaze worked hard for the rest of the hunt, but most of the prey was still hidden in their holes. By sun-high, when the patrol returned to camp, he had only caught 2 mice and a shrew. He dropped off the meager offering on the fresh kill pile and padded off to find J-Paw. After checking the medicine cat's den and not finding him there, Lineblaze finally tracked him down in the elder's den. "Look, Mousefur," J-Paw was saying as Lineblaze ducked under the low branches of the hazel bush. "These tansy leaves should stop you getting green cough. Why don't you want to eat them?" Mousefur gave the leaves a push with one paw. "I told you, I don't need them. Stop fussing over me and keep them for cats who are really sick." "J-Paw doesn't want you to get sick," Liontail tried to explain. Mousefur gave him an angry flick with her tail. "Since when were you a medicine cat?" J-Paw let out an exasperated sigh. "Mousefur, for the last time." "The last time?" Mousefur snapped. "Good, go away." She pointedly turned her back. J-Paw dug his claws into the floor of the den and spoke through gritted teeth. "Mousefur, I am not leaving this den until you eat these herbs." He was obviously trying hard to hang on to his temper. "Come on, Mousefur," Lineblaze meowed cheerfully. "Stop being such a grump and just eat the stuff." Mousefur whipped around and glared at him. Lineblaze teased, ready to feel her claws... tensed, ready to feel her claws raking his pelt. He couldn't fight back if an elder of his own clan attacked him. Then Mousefur gave him an abrupt nod, bent her head, and licked up the leaves, chewing and swallowing with a disgusted expression on her face. "Satisfied?" she grunted, then curled up and wrapped her tail over her nose. "I don't believe it," J-Paw muttered, as Longtail let out a tiny snort of amusement and curled up beside the dusky brown elder. "Thanks for helping," he added, as he and his brother emerged from the den. Lineblaze shrugged. "No problem. We need to talk about the fake sign." J-Paw's neck fur started to bristle. "I wish there were 10 of me. I've got so much to do. Our den is full with Millie and Briarkit, but we really need to take Thornclaw out of the warrior's den because he's sick too. And Foxpaw started coughing. I don't know how we're going to cope." Anger surged through Lineblaze. He lashed his tail and dug his claws into the earth. He could fight an ordinary enemy, but there was no way he could protect his clanmates against the sickness. "It'll be easier if we don't have the extra ShadowClan mouths to feed," he pointed out, "and if Soul leaves ShadowClan so he can mentor us like he promised." J-Paw gave a grudging nod. "True. Okay, what about the sign?" Lineblaze padded beside his brother as he headed for the medicine cat's den. Hollyleaf had an idea. She thought that the ShadowClan apprentices might help us make the sign, because they know their territory. J-Paw looked dubious. "Help us fool their clan?" "You heard them when they arrived," Lineblaze persisted. "All they want to do is go home. To the real ShadowClan, not the mess that Soul has made up of it. Don't you think they would help any cat who could make that happen?" J-Paw hesitated outside the bramble screen, his head on one side. Maybe you're right, he agreed. Okay, we'll talk to them later. Then he whisked out of sight into the den. As Lionblaze turned away, he noticed that the thorns blocking the entrance to the hollow were shaking. The apprentices and their mentors were returning from hunting practice. All three of the ShadowClan apprentices looked bedraggled, their fur clumped together and stuck with bits of leaves and moss. Dawnpaw carried a mouse. She padded across the clearing, her tail straight up in triumph, and laid it on the fresh kill pile. But that can't be right. Tigerpaw was arguing with Foxpaw as they came up. If you stalk prey until you're nearly on top of it, you give it the chance to know you're there. We pounce when we're a lot further away. Well, that's because there's thick undergrowth in our territory. Foxpaw explained. That hides us in our scent until we get close, and then it's easier to pounce. Oh, Tigerpaw thought about that for a moment. Well, it still seemed mouse-brained to me, he decided. Hey, Lionblaze! Hollyleaf bounded out of the nursery, distracting Lionblaze from the apprentice's chatter. How's Daisy coping with all the kits? He asked. Pretty well, Hollyleaf replied. Ferncloud is with her, helping her to keep the kits amused. I just took them some fresh kill. Glancing around to make sure that no cat was listening, she added, Did you have a word with J-Paw? Lionblaze nodded. He says we can talk to the apprentices. Hollyleaf's whiskers twitched with satisfaction. Good. I'll get Foxpaw and Icepaw away, and then you can take the others behind the warrior's den. No one will hear us there. The mentors and apprentices were still standing in the middle of the clearing. Cloudtail was explaining something about following a scent trail. Hollyleaf bounded up to them. Foxpaw, Icepaw, could you fetch some clean moss for the elders' den? Foxpaw and Icepaw exchanged a sullen glance. Why can't they do it? Icepaw asked, flicking her ears towards the ShadowClan apprentices. Because they're not here to do all the jobs that you don't like, Hollyleaf retorted. Besides, the elders will appreciate having the respect of their own clanmates. Yes, when you're warriors, you get to decide who does what, Sandstorm added, not before. Okay, we'll do it, Foxpaw muttered, stifling a cough as he headed back towards the thorn barrier. It'll be all wet, though. You know that. Like they know the best moss places anyways, Icepaw mewed with a twitch of her tail tip as she followed her brother. Hollyleaf turned to the group of mentors. Shall I take Flamepaw, Tigerpaw, and Dawnpaw to get cleaned up? She asked. Lionblaze's whiskers twitched at the helpful tone in her voice. Any cat could see they're not used to hunting in thick woodland. Not thick, soaking wet woodland, Flamepaw agreed. He gave himself a thorough shake, scattering water up some scraps of leaves, twigs, and moss. I'd rather hunt in our territory. It's a lot cleaner there. Cloudtail leaped back as drops from Flamepaw's fur splattered his white pelt. You do that, Hollyleaf. The sooner the better. At the same moment, Lionblaze noticed that more cats had emerged from the tunnel. The border patrol was returning, led by Ashfur, with Honeyfern and Brakenfur. Yes, carry on, Hollyleaf, Sandstorm meowed, headed towards the newcomers. We need to find out what's been happening along the ShadowClan border. Whitewing, Cloudtail, Sorreltail, and Spiderleg crowded close behind her. Do you think there are any more cats will have crossed into our territory? Spiderleg asked. Lionblaze didn't listen to Sandstorm's reply. He padded over to meet his sister, who waved her tail at the three ShadowClan apprentices to lead them across the clearing. Come with us, Hollyleaf said. We need to talk to you. Suspicion glimmered in Tigerpaw's amber eyes. This isn't about cleaning our pelts, right? No, but it's nothing to worry about, Lionblaze assured him. We've thought of a way to help your clan. As they passed the entrance to the medicine cat's den, Hollyleaf paused. Hey, J-Paw, meet us in the usual place. The only reply was a bout of exhausted coughing. Is that the medicine cat's den? Flamepaw asked curiously. Can I look inside? I really want it to be a medicine cat. He added. Not right now, Lionblaze replied. It's a bit crowded in there. The sound of more coughing drifted through the bramble screen. Dawnpaw's eyes stretched wide. Jeez, those cats sound sick. Lionblaze exchanged a glance with Hollyleaf. It was natural to hide problems from a rival clan. If he told the apprentices there was green cough in camp, it would make ThunderClan sound weak. Still, the young cats were hardly likely to launch an attack. That could only happen if ShadowClan started to believe in StarClan again. Lionblaze sighed. Everything led back to the fake sign. J-Paw? Hollyleaf called again. Okay! J-Paw sounded irritable. I heard you the first time. I'll come as soon as I can. Hollyleaf led the way to the space behind the warrior's den. It was sheltered from the wind, but it felt even more cramped with the 3 apprentices in there. You'll manage better if you clean each other up, she advised. Get all the twigs and burrs out of your fur. Then you can give yourselves a good wash. This is such a pain. Dawnpaw sighed, tugging at a stubborn knot in Tigerpaw's fur. I wish we were back on nice soft pine needles. With any luck, you will be, Lionblaze promised. What do you mean? Flamepaw asked. Wait until J-Paw comes, Hollyleaf meowed. I'm here. J-Paw appeared around the edge of the warrior's den. Great StarClan, it's more crowded than ever, he added, shoving his way in beside Lionblaze and wriggling until he made himself a space. Lionblaze says we'll be back in our own territory soon. Dawnpaw was quivering with curiosity, but I don't see how we can. We have an idea, J-Paw began. We haven't much time. The longer Soul stays in ShadowClan, the harder it'll be to get rid of him. No cat can get rid of him, Flamepaw mewed dejectedly. J-Paw tensed his muscles. We can. We're gonna make a sign from StarClan to persuade ShadowClan that Soul is lying to him. Blackfoot. We'll kick him out pretty quickly after that. All 3 apprentices stared at J-Paw with baffled faces. After a few heartbeats, Flamepaw whispered, Won't that make StarClan angry? I doubt it. J-Paw flicked his tail. StarClan themselves asked me to help. They can't object to how I go about it. The 3 young cats' eyes stretched wide. Wow! Dawnpaw breathed. Wowee! We want to know the best place to create a sign. Lionblaze took up the explanation. And we have to bring Blackfoot and Little Cloud to see it, so they'll be convinced StarClan is still watching over them. And don't you forget, your clan will know by now that you've left, Hollyleaf reminded the apprentices. Any plan we make will have to take that into account. I get it, meowed Tigerpaw. A place near the border would be best, so that you don't have to trespass too far in our territory. Maybe that marshy place near the edge of the territory, Dawnpaw suggested. Not many cats go there. We don't want to be disturbed. No, I think by the lake would be best, Tigerpaw interrupted. Then you could have the StarClan cat coming up from the water and... Great, J-Paw grumbled. And how do you suggest we do that? And how do we get Blackfoot and Little Cloud to come and see it? Dawnpaw added. We could tell them we saw cats trespassing, Flamepaw suggested. Or a fox, Tigerpaw put in. We could lay a trail of fox scent. What? Dawnpaw's neck fur fluffed up. Are you mouse-brained? Are you just gonna ask the fox nicely if... We could use fox dung, Flamepaw meowed. Dawnpaw's whiskers twitched in disgust. You can. I'm not going anywhere near fox dung, thanks very much. Then her eyes sparkled mischievously, and she added, Why not feed them poppy seeds and carry them to the place? No way! Tigerpaw protested. She just suggested to drug them. And drag them to where they needed to be. That's so funny. No way! Tigerpaw protested. Blackfoot's a seriously big cat. I'm not lugging him across half the territory. There are useful herbs growing near the oak tree by the stream, Flamepaw pointed out. Little Cloud would come for those. His tail curled up in amusement. Then we could pelt Blackfoot with acorns, and he'd think they'd come from StarClan. That's stupid, Dawnpaw exclaimed, leaping on her brother. They wrestled together. In the confined space, one of Flamepaw's hind legs jabbed Hollyleaf in the belly. Watch it, she snarled. When the 2 apprentices sat up, she went on more calmly. You're not taking this seriously. This isn't a game. This is about preserving the warrior code. Do you want your clan to break up and become a collection of rogues? Because that's what will happen if we can't make them believe in StarClan again. Serious now, wide-eyed with anxiety, all 3 apprentices exchanged uncomfortable glances. Sorry, Tigerpaw muttered. Well, what about the marshy place? Dawnpaw went back to her original idea. Not many cats will be anywhere near, especially after all this rain. We wouldn't be disturbed there while we were setting up the sign, and Soul never goes that far. He doesn't want to get his paws wet. That sounds pretty good, Lion Blaze meowed. What do you think? He asked his little mates. Hollyleaf nodded, and J-Paw muttered, it's worth checking out. Well, what will the sign be? Flamepaw mewed eagerly. We'll work that out when we get there, J-Paw replied. We'd better go right away. Lion Blaze stuck his head out into the open. Watery sunlight was gleaming through the clouds. Outside the warrior's den, Sorreltail and Brakenfur were sharing tongues, with Squirrelflight drowsing in the sunlight nearby. The 4 remaining kits were playing at the entrance to the nursery, with Daisy and Ferncloud looking on. Otherwise, everything was quiet. Lion Blaze guessed that most of the cats were sleeping in their dens, either sick with cough or building strength for the next patrol. All clear, he reported. Let's go. But I'm hungry, Flamepaw complained. Can't we eat first? There's barely enough for ThunderClan, J-Paw growled. Seeing the guilty look on the faces of the apprentice, Lion Blaze rested his tail tip on his brother's shoulder. It's not their fault, he murmured. There is no time to eat now, he told Flamepaw, but we'll see if we can pick up some prey on the way back. Seeing the shock in Hollyleaf's green eyes, he added, Okay, I know, the clan must be fed first. But faking a sign from StarClan isn't exactly part of the warrior code, is it? Anyway, we're not on a hunting patrol. I reckon the territory can spare a few mice. Hollyleaf didn't reply, just flicked her tail. I'll go and tell Leafpool that I'm gonna go collect herbs. J-Paw meowed. We're low on almost anything, and I can pick up some on the way back. He whisked out of their hiding place and behind the bramble screen into the medicine cat's den. Lion Blaze waited for him to emerge, then took the lead as they headed out of the camp and into the damp forest. Dun 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 dun! How much time do we have? 14 minutes! Oh my god. Look at how tiny our little stream raiders patrol is. So funny. We're trying so hard! We'll get there! We got this, guys. I wonder why I don't have any. Head over to the army tab and check my spells. Oh! My god, guys. I have a bunch of spells I can unlock. Depends on our resolve. Okay, let's see what my... You guys can't see what I'm doing, but I can. Spells will be available when the battle's ready. Oh, I can cast spells when it happens? Ooh, nice. Okay, I can help you guys more. Nice. Oops. Wee! We've been dying for weeks and now you want to help? I figured out. I learned magic. Finally. Also, oh my gosh. So the stream raiders replied back and they said they don't do manual acceptances. Like, they can't just accept anyone unless they hit the requirements. So the people who have low viewerships hit the requirement at some point in time. So we gotta get there. That's what they said. Oh, they didn't have requirements at launch? Mm-hmm. Okay, let's continue. Chapter 8. Every hair on Don Paw's pelt was quivering. This is like being sent on a real warrior mission. Hollyleaf could sympathize. She remembered very well how it felt to be a new apprentice, doing something to help her clan. Do you think we'll get to be warriors after it's all over? Tigerpaw mewed. Because we saved our clan? No, Hollyleaf replied gently. Don't forget, no cat must know we're doing this. Besides, you're too young to be warriors yet. You have a lot to learn. The 6 cats were heading towards the far end of the ThunderClan territory, following the same route Hollyleaf and her littermates had taken when they went to find Soul. Already the ShadowClan scent marks were fading along the border, and there was no sign of cats from either clan. The only sounds were the drip of water from leaves and the rustle of ferns and grasses as the clans brushed through them. All 3 of the apprentices were bouncing with excitement, rushing off into the undergrowth or dabbing at one or another in the beginnings of a play fight. That's enough, Lineblaze ordered, rounding up Flamepaw with his tail and nudging him forward. Do you think warriors chased each other around like that? The young ShadowClan cats settled down and padded along quietly, but Hollyleaf could see that their paws were still itching. They were acting as if Blackfoot had already seen the sign and decided that his clan would return to StarClan in the warrior code. But it's not as easy as that. Hollyleaf's belly churned as she wondered what would happen if they failed. They would only get one chance. If Blackfoot realized he was being tricked, he would be twice as careful afterwards. ShadowClan would be lost forever. Even worse, Blackfoot might decide to invade ThunderClan to punish them for interfering. What if cats die because of what we're doing? Shaypaw, have you decided what? Her brother flicked his ears irritably. I can't decide anything until we get to where we're going. Now keep your tail open in your jaws. What? Now keep your tail over your jaws and let me think. This is where we should cross the border, Tigerpaw announced, stopping and looking out around. The marshy place is only a few fox lengths away. Even though she could hardly taste the ShadowClan scent marks, Hollyleaf still felt guilty as she crossed into the rival cat clan's territory. I don't know why. If they cared about their border, they would mark it. They couldn't care less about the warrior code. But we do, she answered herself. Going into another clan's territory is wrong. Tigerpaw led them through some trees where brambles snagged their fur, then into a more open patch of ground. Here we are, he declared. Water welled up around Hollyleaf's paws as she gazed at the marsh ahead. Long-stemmed clusters of reeds grew around the pools covered with bright green pond weeds. Between them, tussocks of brittle grass and sedge, and a few spindly saplings grew with their roots in the water. There was a dank, musty scent, and the air was heavy with silence. What can you see? J-Paw mewed as the cats drew to a halt. Marshy ground and water, Lineblaze replied. Any cover? Yes, reeds and long grass, and a few trees. What are the trees like? How big are they? J-Paw was beginning to sound excited. What are their roots like? Small trees, Hollyleaf replied, wondering what was going through her brother's mind. Their roots look quite long and shallow, at least as far as I can see. J-Paw fell silent, motionless except for his whiskers quivering. I don't see what we can do here, Hollyleaf mewed anxiously, wondering if they should have chosen somewhere else. There's nothing to— Shut up, I'm thinking, J-Paw snapped. I love him. Hollyleaf exchanged a glance with Lineblaze. Leave him alone, her brother whispered. If any cat can work this out, he can. Hollyleaf hoped he was right. Trying to push down her impatience, she kept an eye on the 3 apprentices, who were stalking around the edge of the marshy ground, looking for prey. Nothing but pond flies, Donpaw explained indignantly. Those trees. J-Paw broke his silence at last. Do any of them look like they could be knocked over? What? Has he gone completely mouse-brained? Hollyleaf flexed her claws and forced herself not to speak. I'll check. Lineblaze mewed. There might be a few. He splashed off into the marsh with water brushing his belly fur and pondweed sticking to his golden pelt. The 3 apprentices left their hunt to watch, and Hollyleaf waited anxiously while Lineblaze circled several of the trees, giving their trunks a good sniff, then came splashing back. I think we could do it, he reported. I could feel roots under my paws, so we should be able to dig them up. But why? Hollyleaf only just stopped herself from wailing like a frustrated kit. J-Paw's sightless blue eyes gleamed. We're gonna make it look as if ShadowClan's territory is falling down around them. Oh. Hollyleaf's heart thumped harder. Only J-Paw would have thought of digging up trees as a message from StarClan. If it worked, it should really convince Blackfoot that following Soul was wrong. Under J-Paw's direction, Hollyleaf and Lineblaze chose 2 saplings, not too far from each other. I want them still upright, but ready to fall. And when I give the word, I want them to fall towards each other, so their branches are joined together, J-Paw explained. Okay, get digging. Hollyleaf waded into the marsh, flinching as cold mud and water soaked into their fur. Dawnpaw joined her at one of the trees, while Lineblaze and Tigerpaw tackled the other. As Lineblaze had said, Hollyleaf found that she could easily feel the roots of the tree under her paws. She clawed at them vigorously, trying to dislodge them from the mud. At first she thought she wouldn't be able to shift them at all. "This is hopeless," Dawnpaw gasped. She was belly deep in the thick mud, and drops of it were splattered all over her head and shoulders. "We'll never do it." "Yes, we will," Hollyleaf growled, clawing even harder. "We've got to." She staggered as the roots she was tugging at gave way, barely saving herself from sliding under the mud. Her pelt burned with urgency as she scrabbled around to find another root and dig her claws into it. A few fox lengths away, Lineblaze was struggling with the other tree. Tigerpaw worked alongside him, but Flamepaw was standing back with a troubled look in his eye. "What's the matter with you?" Tigerpaw asked, flicking mud from his ears. "Come and help." "I still don't know," Flamepaw mewed doubtfully. "I'm not sure it's right to fake a sign from StarClan." Dawnpaw glanced over her shoulder. "We've been through this," she hissed in exasperation. "We already agreed to try anything. This might just work, and let us go back to our own clan." Flamepaw hesitated, then took a deep breath. "Okay." He floundered forward into the mud, beside Lineblaze and his brother. Hollyleaf couldn't shift the next root however hard she chewed. Growing desperate, she gulped in air, then plunged her head below the surface of the mud, and bit down on the stubborn trendle. Mud oozed into her mouth as she gnawed at it. Her chest arched with the need to breathe. But at last the bitter strands parted. Hollyleaf resurfaced, coughing and spitting out mud. Her fur was plastered with it, and a foul taste clung to her tongue, but she didn't care. Triumph flared through her from ears to tail tip. "I'll do whatever it takes to save ShadowClan." "I think we've done it!" Dawnpaw exclaimed. "The trunk feels unsteady." Hollyleaf gave the sapling an experimental push. The trunk tilted, and a sucking sound came from under the surface of the mud. "Stop!" J-Paw ordered. He had been sniffing at Lineblaze's tree. Now he splashed across to Hollyleaf and stretched out a paw to touch the trunk of the tree. Hollyleaf saw it wobble again. "That's it," J-Paw meowed. "You can stop now." "Thanks, StarClan," Dawnpaw sighed. J-Paw splashed back to Lineblaze, while Hollyleaf and Dawnpaw headed for the nearest dry spot where they could crawl out and shake some of the mud from their pelts. "I thought I was going to turn into a frog." Dawnpaw gave her chest for a couple of quick licks. "Ugh, it'll take moons to get this stuff off." Lineblaze and the other 2 apprentices were still struggling with their tree, while Hollyleaf flexed her claws impatiently. Rays of weak sunlight slanted through the forest. If they didn't manage to uproot the trees before nightfall, J-Paw's plan would fail. Several sunrises seemed to pass before J-Paw announced, "That'll do." "Now one of us has to fetch Blackfoot and Little Cloud." Lineblaze meowed, hauling himself onto dry ground. "I'll go," Tigerpaw offered immediately. "No, I will," Dawnpaw protested. I'd be best at talking to Little Cloud," Flamepaw pointed out. "But I'm the strongest," Tigerpaw insisted, "and the best fighter. If some cat attacks me, I'm most likely to get out alive." Lineblaze nodded. "But you need a warrior for backup. I'll go," Hollyleaf interrupted. She didn't think she could stand waiting here wondering what was happening, while some other cat went deeper into ShadowClan territory to fetch Blackfoot. "You know I'm the best at stalking and keeping hidden. I've got light paws and a black pelt." "No, a mud-covered pelt." Dawnpaw's eyes glimmered with amusement. "Whatever. The mud should help disguise my scent." Hollyleaf sprang to her paws. "Let's go, Tigerpaw." The ShadowClan apprentice led the way, skirting around the marsh and heading deeper into ShadowClan territory. I'll be a few paces behind you, Hollyleaf murmured. Don't expect to see me unless there's trouble. Tigerpaw nodded. I'm going to try for Little Cloud first. If he listens to me, he'll help persuade Blackfoot. Okay, good luck. Hollyleaf fell back a few tail lengths, keeping the apprentice in sight as he slid through the undergrowth in the direction of the ShadowClan camp. Her eyes were pricked for the sound of other cats, and she paused now and again to taste the air. The silence of the forest raised the hairs on her pelt. Usually, she would have expected to spot a patrol by now. Her muscles were braced to leap into hiding, but the ShadowClan scent trails wandered faintly here and there, as if cats were hunting by themselves, and she caught a glimpse of only one tabby pelt, so far away that she couldn't tell which cat it was. This isn't a way for warriors to live. Tigerpaw headed for the stream and leaped lightly across the stepping stones. Hollyleaf followed, more cautious than ever, as the trees she was familiar with on ThunderClan territory gave way to pines, and the undergrowth became sparser. Her paws made no sound on the soft covering of pine needles. At last she began to pick up the mingled scent of herbs. Tigerpaw trotted briskly up a rise and paused at the top. Without looking back, he raised his tail to beckon before he vanished down on the other side of the ridge. Hollyleaf crept after him, then clawed her way up a tree that grew nearer at the top of the slope and crouched on a branch from where she could look down. The ground fell away below her into a shallow bowl, thickly carpeted with bushes covered in bright green leaves. Little Cloud, the ShadowClan medicine cat, was standing near the bottom, biting off some stems and laying them carefully to the ground on one side. Little Cloud! Tigerpaw bounded towards him. Yum, yum, yum. The small tabby Tom leaped to his paws, his neck fur bristling in surprise. Tigerpaw, are you okay? And Tawnypelt and the others? We're all fine, thanks. Tigerpaw halted in front of the medicine cat and dipped his head. Little Cloud, I need to ask you something. The medicine cat bit off one more spray of leaves and laid it with the others. Go ahead. I brought Flamepaw and Dawnpaw to the border, Tigerpaw began, gesturing with his tail. We all want to come back to ShadowClan, but, well, we're scared that we'll get into trouble with Blackfoot. Little Cloud nodded. I see. Will you help us, please? What does Tawnypelt think about this? Little Cloud asked. She doesn't know we're here. If Blackfoot will take us back, then we'll talk to her about it. But she might not come. She's really unhappy that ShadowClan doesn't follow the warrior code anymore. Little Cloud heaved a deep sigh. She's not the only cat to feel like that. Hollyleaf tensed, digging her claws into the rough bark beneath her. Tigerpaw might be tempted to share the plan with Little Cloud, and that would ruin everything. But the apprentice said nothing about it, only repeating, Please help us. Of course I will. Little Cloud purred. Wait here. I'm not sure Blackfoot will listen to me, but I'll do my best to bring him. Picking up his bundle of stems, the medicine cat turned around up the opposite side of the hollow. Don't let Soul know what's happening, Tigerpaw called after him. Little Cloud glanced back and nodded in acknowledgement, then trotted off among the pine trees. Tigerpaw looked up into Hollyleaf's tree and waved his tail excitedly. Thanks, StarClan, Hollyleaf thought. The plan's working. And so is our Stream Raiders. Okay, let me see what these do. Boosts allies' speed. Ranged attack speed bomb. So they're mostly buffs. Buff melees. Curse! I'm gonna. Alright, let's go! Wait, where's my... Wait, where did it go? It said only during battle. I don't see no battle. Oh well. If we lose this time... Chips? chips, do they count? We died. Sag. Spam this cheese to bring victories. Yay! That I have stale chips. Bro, these archers mad. Yeah, those are some mad archers. Let's try my bomb guy. Should I do the balloon buster, the mage, or the orc slayer? Are these orcs? Oh my god, I'm doing the orc slayer. I can't believe I missed this. See, spells will be available when the battle's... Oh, I have to put them down right before I press start. I get it. 5 times now you had chips. Yes, yes, I'm so good. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, we can do it, guys. This is our... We can try one more time. This one looks easier. Let me look. Maybe. Yeah. Maybe they're debuffing it because we lost twice. Ow! I cracked my... Wait, are they really all level 1s? That's so funny. We got it this time, for sure. Alright, Chapter 9! Lineblaze and J-Paw crouched with the 2 remaining apprentices in a clump of spiky grass. Dawnpaw kept wriggling and bobbing her head up to see over the top of the stems. For StarClan's sake, keep still, J-Paw grumbled, and keep your head down. The grass is sticking into me, she complained, and I want to see if any cat is coming. Lineblaze laid his tail tip on her shoulder. We'll hear and scent the cats before we see them, he reminded her. Keep still or you'll give us all away. Dawnpaw settled down, though Lineblaze could still feel excitement quivering through her as she pressed close to his side. His belly churned with better hidden anticipation. What's taking so long? Level 20 and then level 10? Oh my god. Wow, they really debuffed it for us. The sun was... Wait, actually, let me check something. Huh, I don't know. Weird. The sun was slowly sinking, and Blackfoot was unlikely to come after nightfall, if he came at all. Suddenly, Lionblaze heard rustling from the other side of the marsh. He pricked his ears and opened his jaws to taste the air. ShadowClan scent! Get to the trees, J-Paw whispered. Lionblaze was just about to creep into position when Flamepaw hissed, Wait! That's not Blackfoot! Lionblaze froze. The lower branches of a bush at the edge of the marsh waved up and down. Then a dark brown tom emerged, sniffing the air suspiciously. Dawnpaw's claws dug into the ground. Toadfoot! Fox stung. J-Paw spat. Flamepaw's eyes stretched wide with dismay. Now what do we do? For a few heartbeats, Lionblaze felt as helpless as a piece of prey under a warrior's claws. He guessed that the ShadowClan warrior was following the scent trail left by Tigerpaw and Hollyleaf. What would they do if Blackfoot turned up now? Then he gave himself a mental shake. This was no time to panic. Flamepaw, he whispered, signaling with a twitch of his ears. Creep around the marsh on that side, and make sure Toadfoot doesn't see you. I'll go this way. When I leap on him, you come and help. The apprentice gave him a tense nod and crept away, his belly flat to the ground. Lionblaze headed in the opposite direction and took cover on a clump of bracken a couple of tail lengths from Toadfoot. He caught a glimpse of Flamepaw's ginger pelt under a bush opposite. The ShadowClan warrior stalked forward, an aggressive light in his eyes. A low growl came from his throat. I know you're there! Come out! Now! Lineblaze yowled. He leapt out from a clump of bracken and bowled over the astonished Toadfoot. At the same moment, Flamepaw hurled across the boggy ground and flung himself on top of his clanmate. Lineblaze pinned Toadfoot down with both forepaws on his belly. Toadfoot battered at Lineblaze with strong hind paws. His forepaws flailed, scoring down Flamepaw's neck and shoulders, but the apprentice held on, stretching himself across Toadfoot's neck and shoulders. "Get him to cover!" Lineblaze ordered. Together he and Flamepaw dragged the struggling ShadowClan warrior behind the clump of bracken. Toadfoot lashed out with his claws, landing a painful blow on Lineblaze's flank, but he couldn't free himself. The screeches of fury were cut off when Flamepaw pushed his head to the ground and kept a paw over his jaws. As soon as the thrashing and yowling stopped, Lineblaze heard the sound of more cats approaching through the trees. Breathing heavily, he raised his head. Through the bracken fronds, he could see Tigerpaw with Little Cloud pacing alongside him, and Blackfoot a tail length or so behind. The ShadowClan leader paused and looked suspiciously around him. "I heard something," he growled. "Some cat hunting, maybe," Tigerpaw lied easily. "This way, Blackfoot. Flamepaw and Dawnpaw are waiting by the border." At the sound of his leader's voice, Toadfoot heaved himself up in another attempt to escape. Lineblaze thrust him down again. "Keep quiet if you want to save your clan," he hissed, planting a paw on Toadfoot's neck. Toadfoot glared at him furiously, but couldn't move. While Lineblaze and Flamepaw were fighting with Toadfoot, Jpaw and Dawnpaw had slipped back into the marsh and taken up their positions by the saplings they had loosened. Almost covered by the mud, they were hardly visible to any cat who wasn't looking for them. The thin branches were waving as though the trees could fall at any moment. Tigerpaw led Blackfoot and Little Cloud forward as if he was going to skirt the marsh at the very edge. Lineblaze caught a glimpse of Hollyleaf creeping from behind a gorse bush and plunging into the mud to help Dawnpaw. His chest heaved. "Now! Now!" Jpaw raised his tail and slapped it down on the surface of the mud. Then he thrust it at the trunk of his tree with outstretched forepaws. Hollyleaf and Dawnpaw pushed their tree. Slowly the trunks tilted. There was a sucking noise, and the surface of the marsh churned with brown bubbles. Blackfoot let out a yowl of alarm, but it was too late to flee. The trees crashed down, the branches locking together as they fell, the roots rising out of the mud and lashing the air like enormous tails. Peering through the bracken, Lineblaze spotted Tigerpaw scrambling through the branches and taking refuge underneath one of the trunks. He could see Blackfoot clawing vainly at a mesh of twigs. For a moment, he was worried that Little Cloud was hurt, but then he heard the medicine cat's voice. "Blackfoot, are you okay?" "No, I feel as if my pelt's torn off," the ShadowClan leader growled. "What happened? Where's Tigerpaw?" "I can't see him. Tigerpaw?" Jpaw held himself out of the mud and balanced among the roots of the nearest tree, out of sight of the trapped cats. "Tigerpaw has vanished," he whispered, loud enough for the ShadowClan cats to hear. "What? Who's that?" Blackfoot demanded. "I am one of the spirits you have denied. More cats than Tigerpaw will be lost if you go on rejecting your warrior ancestors." Jpaw's whisper became more intense. "The forest will fall." "What do you mean?" Lineblaze could just make out Blackfoot's face, his lips drawn back in a snarl, and Little Cloud peering out of the branches beside him. The medicine cat's eyes were wide with awe. "A StarClan warrior is speaking to us," he meowed. Toadfoot started struggling again. Lineblaze crouched down on top of him, while Flameclaw laid across his neck and shoulders, keeping a paw over his jaws. Keeping the writhing cat pinned down, Lineblaze peered out from hiding. Blackfoot was clawing furiously at the branches. "Superstitious nonsense!" he spat. The Lineblaze thought there was uncertainty in his voice. "We must listen," Little Cloud insisted. "StarClan has a message for us. What if they've taken Tigerpaw and we'll never see him again?" Blackfoot let out a snort of contempt. "If that's a StarClan warrior, let it show itself." Lineblaze's belly churned. Jpaw wasn't a warrior with stars in his fur, just an undesired Just an undersized tabby apprentice. Aw, covered with mud. If Blackfoot wouldn't believe him without seeing him, their plan would fail. The forest will fall, J-Paw repeated. Lineblaze could just see him, crouched among the roots, his muscles tense and his claws digging into the bark. The trees will die, your warriors will be scattered. And when they die, they will never find a place among the stars. It's not working, Lineblaze thought hopelessly. Blackfoot still wasn't listening, just making more and more frenzied efforts to claw his way into the open. Show yourself, he snarled. The forest will fall. J-Paw's voice had an echoing quality, as if another voice had joined it. The forest will fall. Now there was a third, all the voices twining together. Lineblaze blinked. Lineblaze thought he saw a shimmer on the surface of the marsh. He blinked. Then every hair on his pelt stood on end. 2 cats balanced on the surface of the mud. One, a big tabby with a torn ear, and the other, a small gray and white tom. Frost sparkled at their paws, and starlight was reflected in their eyes. Ragged Star! Runny Nose! Little Cloud exclaimed from among the uprooted trees. Blackfoot stopped his frantic clawing and stared, his mouth dropping open. Soul's time in ShadowClan must come to an end, Ragged Star meowed, his gaze locked with Blackfoot's. He is like the darkness that covered the sun. You're right. He came with the eclipse. He seems to have taken over your clan, Runny Nose put in, but he will pass and be forgotten in the brightness that follows. Brightness that will shine on ShadowClan for countless moons. I hear you, Blackfoot stammered. I'll do as you say. Little Cloud dipped his head respectfully, as respectfully as he could, with twigs clutching at his pelt. ShadowClan will return to our warrior ancestors, he promised, and added, What have you done with our apprentice? He is safe, Ragged Star replied. The gaze of the ShadowClan warriors swept around the rest of Hollyleaf, to rest on Hollyleaf, J-Paw, and then finally Lineblaze, who forced himself not to flinch. Would these starry cats be angry at what he and his littermates had done? The StarClan cats did not speak, just bent their heads in a dignified nod. Their glimmering forms began to fade until they were no more than wisps of starlight above the marsh. Then they were gone. Lineblaze let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. Blackfoot broke through the branches that held him without much trouble. Little Cloud followed him through the gap he had made. Both cats scrambled onto dry ground at the edge of the marsh. Their pelts were clumped with mud and bits of twig and debris, and blood was trickling from one of Blackfoot's ears. StarClan hasn't abandoned us! Little Cloud's voice was shaken but ecstatic. Blackfoot shook his head. They spoke to us, he murmured. You were right, Little Cloud. We can't ignore the spirits of our warrior ancestors, not when they're still watching over us. What will you do now? Little Cloud asked. Get rid of Soul, to begin with. Blackfoot flexed his claws until the tips disappeared into the wet ground. Can't believe I let myself listen to that mange-ridden trickster. He told me StarClan didn't care what happened to us, but they brought us here, made the trees fall so that we had to hear them. I'll make sure that no ShadowClan cat is led astray by Soul again. You don't think I've left it too long? He added anxiously. I know you haven't, Little Cloud reassured him, touching his leader's shoulder with the tip of his tail. The warrior code lives within every one of the cats born in ShadowClan. One cat alone cannot quench that flame. Then let's go, Blackstar meowed, turning towards the ShadowClan camp. Little Cloud hesitated. Tigerpaw, are you there? Lineblaze saw the apprentice clamber out of his hiding place under the trunk and splash his way through the mud to his clanmates. Are you okay? Little Cloud asked. Did you see what happened? Yes. Tigerpaw's amber eyes were shining. I never thought I'd see a real StarClan warrior. Nor did I, Lineblaze thought. Tigerpaw dipped his head to Blackfoot. Can we come back now? Blackfoot nodded. Of course, ShadowClan needs you. Tigerpaw straightened up proudly. Then I'll go find Flamepaw and Dawnpaw. Come back to camp as soon as you can, Blackfoot ordered. Waving his tail to Little Cloud, he added, Let's go. I can't wait to tell our clan they can look to their warrior ancestors again. I know they'll be glad to hear it, Blackfoot, Little Cloud meowed. The white cat drew himself to his full height, his muscles rippling beneath his fur. Black Star, he corrected. My name is Black Star. Raising his tail, the ShadowClan leader stalked off into the forest, with his medicine cat padding behind him. From the moment when the StarClan warriors started to speak, Toadfoot had lain still as a stone under Lionblaze's paws. When Lionblaze and Flamepaw let him get up, he sat staring at the marsh as if he couldn't believe what had happened. Were those really cats from StarClan? He whispered. Yes, they were, Flamepaw replied solemnly. Our warrior ancestors are still watching over us. They want the warrior code to be preserved. Toadfoot blinked, still stunned. What are you going to do now? Lionblaze asked him. If Blackstar knew what they had done, would he still want his clan to look to their warrior ancestors? Toadfoot's glance flickered from Lionblaze to Flamepaw, then black again. A low growl began to build in his throat. You faked that sign! Only to start with, Flamepaw faced his clanmate. We made the trees fall and brought Blackstar here, but we didn't make the StarClan cats appear. They came out of their own accord, and that made it a real sign after all. Toadfoot shook bits of bracken from his dark brown pelt, his eyes still indecisive. You're lucky they did come, he muttered. Otherwise ShadowClan would have torn ThunderClan apart for interfering and lying. You could try, Lionblaze meowed, his fur bristling. But StarClan really did come, Flamepaw persisted. They prove that they are still watching over us, and we should still listen to them and live by the warrior code. They have the clan's best interest at heart. We have to believe what they say for our own sake. Isn't that what you want? Lionblaze demanded. Toadfoot paused, then nodded. I suppose I should thank you, he meowed grudgingly. No, Lionblaze replied. It's StarClan you should thank. Hollyleaf had padded up, mud dripping from her pelt, and gave Toadfoot a disapproving sniff. What are we going to do about him? She asked Lionblaze. It was Toadfoot who answered. I promise I won't tell any cat what I saw. Hollyleaf's ears flicked up. Can we trust him? Let's trust him or kill him. J-Pod joined them and sat down with a gusty sigh. I don't know about you, but I didn't go through all this to start killing ShadowClan cats. Then we'll have to trust you. Lionblaze turned to Toadfoot. Swear by StarClan that you'll keep the secret. Of course I will, Mousebrain. Toadfoot lashed his tail. I swear it, unless keeping your secret will harm my clan, he added instantly. Which it won't. Lionblaze gave Toadfoot a brisk nod. You can go. Toadfoot turned and stalked away with a last fearful glance at the marsh where the two StarClan warriors had appeared. Come on. Tigerpaw waved his tail at his two littermates. We get to go back too. The apprentices dipped their heads to the ThunderClan cats. We'll never be able to thank you enough, Flamepaw mewed. We did this for ThunderClan too, and we couldn't have done it without you, Lionblaze replied. What are we going to do about our mother? Dawnpaw asked her brother and sister. Tigerpaw and Flamepaw looked blankly at each other. Don't worry about that now, Lionblaze assured them. We'll tell Tawnypelt what happened. You need to get back to your camp right away, and we need to get off your territory. Yeah, Tigerpaw's eyes gleamed. Don't you dare cross our borders once we renew the scent marks. The apprentices bounded off through the trees. Lionblaze watched them until they were out of sight, then headed back towards his own territory with Hollyleaf and J-Paw at his side. I can't believe our fake sign turned into a real message from StarClan, Hollyleaf exclaimed. J-Paw, do you think that StarClan needed us to set that trap before they could appear? J-Paw shrugged. I don't know, but I doubt it. I think they wanted the apprentices to show them how desperate they were to save their clan, Lionblaze suggested. Tigerpaw and the others wouldn't have gone through all that if they didn't want to bring ShadowClan back to StarClan and the Warrior Code. We were desperate too, Hollyleaf lashed her tail. Nothing matters more than preserving the Warrior Code. And what in the name of StarClan are we going to tell Tawnypelt? J-Paw asked. The truth would be a really bad idea. I can feel it in my pelt. I don't know. Hollyleaf sounded worried. I don't want Firestar to know what we did either. He would put me and Lineblaze back to apprentice duties before you could say mouse. Lineblaze drew ahead a few paces, his mind drifting from the conversation behind him. His paws were itching to know what Soul would do after Blackstar told him to leave ShadowClan. Will he keep his promise? He wondered. Will he come to mentor the three of us to our true destiny? Chapter 10. Where the heck is our J-Paw chapter? I want it. Give it to me. 10 minutes. And chapter 10. Hollyleaf leaped, sinking her claws into the vole and dispatching it with a quick nip to the neck. Straightening up with her prey in her jaws, she spotted Lineblaze approaching through the bracken, dragging the limp body of a rabbit. Hey, great catch, she mumbled around the vole. Twilight had fallen, and deep shadows lay on the forest floor. Hollyleaf and Lineblaze had stopped near the dead tree to hunt on their way back to camp, while J-Paw looked for fresh herbs. Let's get back, he meowed, padding up with a bunch of tansy. I'm worried about the sick cats. Leafpool can't do everything, and if I'm any later, she'll have my pelt for bedding. She'll have my pelt for bedding. Okay. Hollyleaf retrieved the mouse she had killed earlier on the way back to camp, carrying her prey. Every hair on her pelt was tingling with relief that they had been able to save ShadowClan. Only one problem remained. What were they going to tell Tawny Pelt? Lineblaze pushed through the thorn tunnel ahead of her, the hind legs of his rabbits leaving faint scars in the dust. As she emerged into camp, Hollyleaf could see that the clearing was almost empty. Many cats would already be in their dens. She spotted Sandstorm and Squirrelflight sharing a thrush beside the fresh kill pile, while Poppy Frost was padding towards the dirt place tunnel. Hey, Poppy Frost! Lineblaze bounded forward, letting his rabbit fall. Have you seen Tawny Pelt? Poppy Frost nodded. She's in Firestar's den with Brambleclaw. Hang on. Hollyleaf meowed to her brother as he padded back to her. We haven't decided what to tell her yet. We can't talk now, J-Paw stated. I have to check in with Leafpool. I'll find you later. Without waiting for a reply, he bounded over to the medicine cat's den and disappeared behind the brambles. He's a good boy, very dedicated to his work. Lineblaze yawned and arched his back in a long stretch. I'm worn out. Let's drop off this prey and get to our dens for rest. We don't need to worry about Tawny Pelt right now. She's busy. Okay. The two warriors picked up their prey and carried it over to the fresh kill pile. You've been hunting? Squirrelflight mewed approvingly. Well done. How did you get all that mud all over you? Sandstorm narrowed her eyes suspiciously. Were you hunting for frogs? It's just a bit wet out there, Lineblaze mumbled, not looking at the older she-cat. Amusement glimmered in Sandstorm's green eyes. She opened her mouth to reply, only to be distracted by the sound of cats pushing their way through the barrier. Birchfall emerged. Hollyleaf's fur tingled with surprise when she saw that Little Cloud was following him, with Whitewing and Icepaw bringing up the rear. Sandstorm leaped to her paws. What's this? She bounded across the clearing to confront the ShadowClan medicine cat. Squirrelflight rose more slowly. I'd better let Firestar know, she murmured, and headed for the tumbled rocks that led to the high ledge. Hollyleaf and Lineblaze followed Sandstorm across the clearing. More cats were appearing from the warrior's den. Cloudtail loudly proclaiming that he would know ShadowClan scent anywhere. He and Brightheart joined the group around Little Cloud, followed by Berrynose, Hazeltail, and Mousewhisker. Mousefur poked her head out of the Elder's den, but stayed where she was, her whiskers twitching in disapproval. What's another ShadowClan cat doing in our camp? Berrynose demanded. No cat answered him, though his littermate Hazeltail gave him a sharp nudge with her shoulder, nearly knocking him off his paws. Greetings, Sandstorm gave Little Cloud a curt nod. Birchfall, what's going on here? Hollyleaf thought Birchfall seemed embarrassed. We were patrolling the ShadowClan border, he began. I spotted Little Cloud, Icepaw broke in. Birchfall and Whitewing were too busy gossiping. That's enough, Whitewing scolded her apprentice. She looked flustered. Little Cloud says he needs to talk to Tawny Pelt. Little Cloud dipped his head respectfully to Sandstorm. With Firestar's permission, things have happened in ShadowClan that she needs to know. Before Sandstorm could reply, Hollyleaf saw Firestar, Brambleclaw, and Tawny Pelt appearing on the high ledge, with Squirrelflight just behind. Sandstorm waved her tail, inviting Little Cloud to follow her. She led them across the clearing to stand at the foot of the stones. I genuinely don't know why that loads twice, but I think it really brings about the meaning of it. Hi, Cordy! Oh, it's because I have 2 loaded. Hollyleaf and Lineblaze padded after them with the rest of the ThunderClan cats. More were emerging from their dens and gathering around to listen. Rosekit and Toadkit frisked across the clearing from the nursery, their ears pricked curiously, while Daisy followed more slowly. Greetings, Little Cloud, Firestar meowed. Welcome to our camp. How can we help you? Thank you, Firestar, the medicine cat replied. It's Tawny Pelt I need to speak to. The tortoiseshell warrior's ears flicked up in surprise. I've nothing to state as ShadowClan anymore. There was the hint of a snarl in her voice. They are not my clan. I'm sorry you feel like that. Little Cloud blinked sympathetically, but I think you might change your mind when you hear what I've come to tell you. Go on then. Tawny Pelt still sounded hostile. Black Star wants you to come back. The medicine cat went on. Your 3 kids have already returned. What? Tawny Pelt's jaws gaped wide in shock. Hollyleaf could see that she wanted to spill out a whole cascade of questions, but her gaze flicked around the listening ThunderClan cats, and she clamped her jaws shut again. Black Star wants me to tell you that no cat will blame you for leaving. Little Cloud gazed up at his clanmate. ShadowClan is returning to the warrior code and to their faith in their warrior ancestors. Tawny Pelt drew in a long breath. If that's true, what about Soul? Soul has decided to leave ShadowClan. Decided to leave, Little Cloud replied. Decided, Lineblaze whispered into Hollyleaf's ear. Look out for flying hedgehogs. His place is not with us, Little Cloud continued. Blackstar bears him no ill will, but he is not a clan cat. This is good news, Brambleclaw meowed to his sister. I'd welcome you as my clanmate again, but I know you'll always be loyal to ShadowClan in your heart. Tawny Pelt touched her nose to Brambleclaw's ear, then nodded. Okay, Little Cloud, I'll come, but you better be telling me the truth. A medicine cat doesn't lie. Tell that to J-Baw. Tawny Pelt turned to Firestar. Thank you for everything, Firestar. I'm just glad it ended so well. Firestar meowed. Goodbye and good luck. The tortoiseshell warrior pressed her pelt against Brambleclaw's and leapt down the rocks to join Little Cloud. Together the 2 ShadowClan cats padded across the clearing and disappeared into the thorn barrier. I never thought that would happen, Cloudtail burst out as soon as they were gone. Do you think Blackstar really changed his mind just like that? Hollyleaf deliberately didn't look at her brother. I'd bet a month of dawn patrols those apprentices had something to do with it, Birchfall meowed. Why else would they disappear back to ShadowClan without their mother? Dustpelt let out a snort of amusement. I could just picture those 3 holding Blackstar down until he agrees. Maybe losing them made Blackstar realize that he was doing this for his clan. Hollyleaf suggested carefully. Hazeltail nodded. You could be right. Well, whatever's changed Blackstar's mind, it's a good thing for the rest of the clans. Sandstorm mewed. No cat wants a clan on their borders that doesn't follow the warrior code. True, Ferncloud purred, brushing against the ginger she-cat's side. There should always be 4 clans around the lake, all following the warrior code. I just hope Tawny Pelt won't tell Blackstar too much about our camp, Daisy murmured with an anxious look at her kits. Hollyleaf began to bristle at the suggestion that her kin would betray the clan who had helped her, especially when it was her brother's clan. Before she could speak, Sandstorm touched her nose to Daisy's ear. I'm sure you don't need to worry. Tawny Pelt would never do that. And what about Soul? That's what I'd like to know. Mousefur stalked up to join the group of cats. Where will he go now? Who cares? Berrynose mewed. Because he might start causing more trouble, Mousebrain, Dustpelt pointed out. I just hope he'll leave the clans alone now. He'd better. Hollyleaf clawed fiercely at the ground. Even the thought of Soul made her pelt bristle. He has no place here if he tries to destroy the warrior code. Lion Blaze opened his jaws as if he was about to protest, then closed them again. Hollyleaf didn't like the doubtful look in his eyes. Surely he wasn't going to defend Soul. After what the loner had done to Shadow Clan? Hollyleaf jerked her head to draw her brother away from the excited cats. You don't still believe in that crow food-eating menace, do you? She hissed. Lion Blaze shrugged. He's not as bad as all that. I was hoping he'd come back to mentor us. Hollyleaf stared at him in disbelief. Why should he help us? Why do you even want him to? Look at what he did to Shadow Clan. He persuaded them to give up the warrior code. But our destiny has nothing to do with the warrior code, Lion Blaze argued, with a glance over his shoulder to make sure no cat was listening. Hollyleaf snorted. Soul is a dangerous cat. If he turns up again, you should stay away from him. Our destiny will come, whatever we do or don't do. Isn't that the point of a prophecy? Lion Blaze looked away. He didn't protest anymore, but as Hollyleaf padded over to the warrior's den, she wasn't sure she'd managed to convince him. All right. We have a break in the chapter. Let's finish this. Oh, wait. Yeah! Oh, I can only do one? Okay. Cha! Cha! Yeah! Look at that! I did it! Da na 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 na. Bum 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 bum. Uh-oh. No, we got this! We got this, guys! The fairy's buffing us! Yes, yes, yes! Dun 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 dun. Boom, 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 boom. Yippee! Did it, guys. We did it! Yeah! Boss defeated. Boss defeated. Woo, 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 woo. Let us to level up my musketeer, please. Thank you. Ooh. What? Extract souls from your level 30 units and convert them into equipable items? That's terrifying. Once per battle, when the unit goes below 50 health, it teleports to the closest support alley, stops moving, and becomes invincible for 5 seconds? Jesus Christ. What happens if you, like... Oh, there's not very many of them. Imagine if you, like, extracted, like, a legendary. Crazy. It looks like it's only the commons, though. The loyalty bonus is juicy now. What's the loyalty bonus? Quest. Select. Give me it.
Give me.
Upgrade. Dingo. Excellent, excellent. Check the store. Look at how cute it is. Scrolls. Skins. I want... How do I get, like, non-paid skins? I don't know. Meat. Rules. Do I have any berserkers? Maybe not. Gladiator. Boom, 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 boom. Rubies? Oh. But where do you buy the... Wait, where do you... A bee fairy. Shop. Or event rewards. Shop. Skins? But where's the options that aren't the $5 ones. Like, these are all streamers. Oh, rubies and then chests. Oh, I get it. Oh, I have lots of rubies. Okay, let's see. Gold and meat. I want a chance for skins. Does not contain skins. Nightmare skins. Chance for any skin. Also contains a small chance for rare skins. Plasma skin. Plasma chest. Guaranteed plasma skin. Click the eye to see what's in it. Oh, you guys are so smart. Plasma. Whoa. Look at all these guys. Oh, blobs. Oh, these are just scrolls. There's the skins.
Oh, spooky.
These. Oh, look at all these skins. They're like fighting skins. WWR. Wrestle. It's time. Oh, look at those. Phantom of the Opera? Wow. Plasma. Oh, I want the blob skin. The meow meow one. Ooh. And then this one. Use nothing. Interesting. Okay, let's do some gotchas. I got the slime man. I don't know who that is. More slime, yeah. That one again. Oh, I got a skin! Who the heck is that? Nice. Okay. I used a lot there. Where's the... I want to try this one. I don't think... Oh no, it is there. Try nightmare skin. Sad. Sad. This is what happened! Oh. Hold on second one, guys. Hold one second one, guys. Oh my goodness. My roommate needed help. With some stuff. Do I have enough for the... Alright. Gladiator! Yeah. No! I don't have enough yet! Dang it! I have to go back to the chest. This one. The exotic chest. Yeah, okay. Ah, 5! Okay. I got him. Slime buddy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Skins. A kip. Yes. Good. Excellent. You. Excellent. Yeah. Do I want that one or this one? Spring steam crawl. She looks pretty cool. I'll use her.
Dun 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 dun.
Superstar Saint? I don't have that. No. Excellent. Good job, guys. Look at all my... I've unlocked so many things. Da-na-na-na-na. Oh, yeah. Gold badge. Oh, it's so cute! I like that one. Very pretty.
Bum 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 bum.
I want to equip this one. Bronze stamp. Gold stamp. Heck yeah. 1, 2. Is there going to be a third one? Guess we'll see. Let's do the harder one. All right. Oops. Let's go! Okay. I forgot we weren't even at the end of a chapter. We were in the middle of a chapter, you guys. Got so distracted. Hollyleaf stood on a steep bank overlooking the lake and tasted the air for any signs of prey. Behind her, Dustpelt and Sorreltail, the other members of the hunting patrol, were stalking through the undergrowth. A cool breeze was blowing the leaves from the trees. They whirled past Hollyleaf, fluttering scraps of scarlet and gold. Though the sun was up, the ground under paw was still crackled with frost. Hollyleaf's ears flicked up as she caught a trace of a vole on the wind. Heartbeats later, she spotted a good plump one under a root halfway down the slope that led to the lake. She dropped into the hunter's crouch and glided towards it, trying to keep her paw steps as light as a fallen leaf. She was sure that she hadn't made a sound, but before she had covered half the distance, something spooked the vole and it scurried down the bank towards the lake. Mouse dung! Hollyleaf sprang after it. When she reached the pebbly shore, her prey had vanished. Furiously, she began sniffing at the holes in the bank. There was a strong scent of vole, but no way of getting at it.
Hello, Hollyleaf.
Hollyleaf froze at the sound of the quiet voice. She spun around to see Sol sitting on the pebbles with his tail wrapped neatly over his paws. His white pelt with its brown, black, and ginger patches was sleek and well-groomed, and his pale yellow eyes gleamed. "What are you doing here?" Hollyleaf demanded. She could feel every hair on her pelt bristling, her tail fluffing out in twice its size, and her belly churning with her distrust of this powerful cat. "I thought you'd gone." Fury flashed in the loner's eyes, and his claws dug into the ground. Yet a heartbeat later, he was cool and controlled again, so that Hollyleaf almost believed she had imagined the anger he had betrayed.
I left Shadow Clan, but I cannot leave the lake yet.
Sol meowed calmly. Hollyleaf had never met a cat, not even Firestar, who sounded so sure of himself.
The clans need me. They just haven't realized it yet. You need me, Hollyleaf.
Hollyleaf swallowed, realizing that she was in danger of falling under the power of Sol's voice again. "You're wrong," she insisted. "I don't need you, and neither do Lineblaze and J-Paw."
Are you sure of that?
Sol's amber gaze was fixed on her. For a heartbeat, Hollyleaf felt like a piece of cowering prey, transfixed under a warrior's claws. "Quite sure." She forced her sound to sound certain. "We'll achieve our destiny without your help, because the warrior code will set our paws in the right direction." She braced herself for Sol to argue, but the loner only dipped his head a little, acknowledging what she said. He rose to his paws and turned away without another word. Hollyleaf stood watching him, determined to make sure that he left ThunderClan territory. Before he had gone more than a couple tail lengths away, Sol glanced back over one shoulder.
Are You sure you have found the 3?
What do you mean? Hollyleaf took a pace towards him, her vision blurring with anger. Lionblaze, J-Paw, and I are the 3. We're kin of Firestar's kin, and there are 3 of us. And J-Paw knows things that no other cat does.
But J-Paw didn't know about the vanishing sun.
Soul's voice echoed around the Hollyleaf. When she focused her gaze again, he was already far away, padding along the shore of the lake in the direction of WindClan territory. Good riddance, she whispered, but her pelt still quivered, and in her heart she knew that she had not seen the last of Soul. Hi, Harley! Thank you so much for the repop! Thank you! I don't know if my roommate is hollering because someone won something? Question mark? Hi, I hope you're doing amazing. I'm a little ruffle scuffled today, but I hope it'll pass soon. Ruffles. Scuffled, ruffled. The good news is my butt plant, Bubbles, is doing pretty well, I think. She was getting a little wrinkly, and then I put a lot of water into it. Oh yeah, my roommate's watching baseball. That's okay. That's why she's hollering about. And now it's perking up really happily. So I think its future is gonna be good. That's what I'm hoping. So that makes me happy. Alright, let's continue. Hollyleaf managed to track down another vole and carried it back to where the hunting patrol was gathering, ready to return to camp. She was determined to not say anything about meeting Soul, and she hoped no other cat had seen him. The sooner her clanmates forgot about him, the better. Dustpelt, who was leading the patrol, was scraping the earth off their catch of fresh kill when Hollyleaf padded up.
The clan will eat well today, he meowed. Let's go.
There was a rasp in his voice, and it ended with a cough. Hollyleaf gazed at him in dismay. There was a feverish glitter in the tabby warrior's eyes, and it sounded as though he had been coughing for some time. You should see Leafpool as soon as you get back, Sorreltail told him.
I'm fine,
Dustpelt retorted, with another painful cough. You are not fine, and you will see Leafpool, Sorreltail flashed back at him. Dustpelt had been her mentor for a while, when Sandstorm was away journeying with Firestar. Journeying... what? Huh? Dustpelt had been her mentor for a while when Sandstorm was away journeying with Firestar. Is that reference to, like, an offshoot book that they just put in here? Whoa. Hollyleaf knew she wasn't as apprehensive of the short-tempered warrior as many of the other Thunderclad cats.
All right, no need to be so bossy,
Dustpelt grumbled, grabbing up a squirrel and stalking through the undergrowth towards the camp. Hollyleaf exchanged an anxious glance with Sorreltail as the two she-cats followed. Back in the stone hollows, she dropped her prey on the fresh kill pile and bounded across to Leafpool's den to tell her about Dustpelt. She wouldn't put it past the tabby warrior to conveniently forget that he should visit the medicine cat. Don't come in! Leafpool's voice came urgently from behind the brambles. A moment later, she appeared, the scent of herbs clinging to her pelt. Oh, it's you, Hollyleaf. What can I do for you? Nothing for me, Hollyleaf replied, worried to see how tired the medicine cat was looking. But I was out hunting with Dustpelt, and I heard him coughing. I thought you should know. Oh no, another cat. Leafpool's eyes stretched wide with anxiety. Longtail started coughing last night, and Daisy and Honeyfern this morning, and Rosekid is feverish. Oh my god. Fear gripped deep in Hollyleaf's belly, not just because of the bad news, but because she had never seen Leafpool this distraught. Are we all going to get sick one by one? I don't know. Leafpool shook her head. I'm doing all that I can, but what if it isn't enough? Hollyleaf couldn't remember ever seeing Leafpool so full of doubt, so frightened for her clanmates. She pressed her muzzle into the fur of the medicine cat's shoulder. You're a great medicine cat, Leafpool. I know every cat will be fine with you to take care of them. It means a lot to me hearing you say that. Leafpool's amber eyes was fixed on Hollyleaf. I just wish it was true. She straightened up and gave her pelt a little shake. Go and get something to eat. You need to keep your strength up or you'll get sick too. Hollyleaf dipped her head. Okay. As she returned to the fresh kill pile, she felt confidence gradually filling her up like rain in an upturned leaf. Soul had gone, she had watched him leave, and she had made it clear that he wouldn't be welcome in ThunderClan. ShadowClan was keeping the warrior code once more and looking for guidance from the spirits of their warrior ancestors. As for the sickness, it was bad, but Leafpool would cure it. Crouching down to take the first bite of her vole, Hollyleaf felt some of her old excitement about the prophecy coming back. I'm ready, StarClan. Just tell me what I have to do. Yeah, our J-Pod chapter! Woo! Woo! Chapter 11. J-Paul let out a sneeze as dust from the dried herbs got up his nose. Squeezing himself further into the storage cleft in the medicine cat's den, he stretched out a paw and scrabbled at a few brittle stems that lay right at the back. The faint scent that lingered told him they were colt's foot, collected the previous new leaf. J-Paw! The apprentice started at the sound of Leafpool's voice and bumped his head on the roof of the cleft. Mouse dung! He muttered, wriggling out backwards with the dried colt's foot leaves in his claws. What have you managed to find? Leafpool asked. Colt's foot and a few juniper berries, J-Paw reported, dropping the stems at Leafpool's paws. So little, Leafpool murmured. J-Paw could hear her sorting through the pitiful collection. Better than nothing, he mewed, trying to sound optimistic. But it's not enough, J-Paw. We're losing the battle. Every hair on J-Paw's pelt prickled as he dug his claws into the packed earthen floor. We can't be. We are. Leafpool let out a desperate sigh. There isn't enough room to separate the sick cats from the rest of the clan, and we can't treat Greencough without catmint. I've been looking after the catmint plants at the old two-legged nest, J-Paw mewed. Shall I go see if there are any new shoots? No, there couldn't possibly be enough. J-Paw felt his mentor's hopelessness as if it were his own. Besides, we need to let that supply grow for next season. Then what are we going to do? I don't know. Things will only get worse as the weather gets colder. Cats will get weaker as prey runs short, and if more cats get sick, there won't be enough warriors left to hunt for the clans. J-Paw lifted his chin. Then we find more catmint. There is no more, Leafpool insisted. I know of one patch just outside the River Clan border by a two-leg nest, but I can't leave the clan long enough to fetch it and... She broke off, but J-Paw knew well enough what she had meant to say. You can't go because you're blind. He sensed Leafpool watching him in despair and felt the strength of her desire that he could see. Briefly, he struggled with a surge of bitterness, because then I'd be more useful, right? No, J-Paw. Leafpool answered his unspoken resentment. It's not because you're blind that you can't go. If that was the problem, I could send you with a warrior. Then why don't you? Leafpool sighed. Because you would need to cross Shadow Clan territory and go along the River Clan border to get to the place. There's been too much fighting recently. We can't risk you and a warrior when so many cats are sick. What if another clan attacked us? We need all the paws we've got, here in our own territory. Then what about asking the other medicine cats? J-Paw suggested. If they've got catmint, they'd give us some. Yes, they would. Leafpool's voice grew sharper, as if she was annoyed by his insistence. But I can't ask without the other clans finding out how weak we are. Viester would have my pelt if he found out I'd done that. Reluctantly, J-Paw had to admit she was right. So what can I do to help? He asked. I've sent Millie and Briarkit out to for some fresh air and sun. Leafpool sounded relieved to turn to something more practical. They're in that space between here and the warrior's den, sheltered there, and they should be far enough away from the other cats to stop the cough from spreading. Could you take their old bedding? Could you take out their old bedding and bring in some fresh? Sure. J-Paul padded to the side of the den and started scraping up the used moss and bracken, collecting it into a ball. Make sure you take it away from camp, Leafpool reminded him, and when you finish, you can fetch Millie and Briarkit back in before they get too tired and cold. J-Paul rolled the ball of soiled bedding out through the thorn barrier and dumped it several fox lengths away from the hollow. Nearby, he found more moss growing thickly around the roots of a tree. To his relief, it had dried out since the heavy rain a few days ago. Tearing off some fronds of bracken, he bundled the whole lot together and staggered back to it with camp. Staggered back to it with camp? What is wrong with my dyslexia? Staggered with it back into camp. When he went to fetch the sick cats, he found Millie lying stretched out in a sunny spot behind the wall of the stone hollow. Her breath rasped in her throat, and when he rested upon her chest, J-Paw could feel it heaving rapidly up and down. Briarkit pushed up beside him, nudging at her mother. I want play, she whimpered, but she had to catch her breath as she spoke, and J-Paw could feel her legs wobbling. Be a mouse and I'll catch you. Millie let out a weary sigh, and Briarkit's pleading ended in a cough. Come on, J-Paw meowed, trying to sound cheerful. I've put down some fresh bedding for you. You'll be able to have a really good sleep. I don't want to sleep, Briarkit protested. Yes, you do, J-Paw informed her. Sleeping will make you feel better. He slipped his shoulder under Millie's as she struggled to her paws. Her chest wheezed with the effort, and her coughs were weak, as if her strength was ebbing fast. J-Paw's belly twisted with frustration. Prophecy said that he had the power of the stars in his paw, but what good was that if he had to witness the cats in his clan die? He helped Millie back to her nest, with Briarkit getting under his paws until he shooed her away into the moss beside her mother. He straightened up and headed back to the cleft, wondering if he could have possibly missed any stores of herbs. Suddenly, his eyes filled with dazzling sunlight, so bright that he flinched and bent his head, trying to shut out the rays. When his vision cleared, he looked up again, blinking. He was standing in a glade, thick with rustling leaves. The warm air was heavy with the scent of growing herbs. Is there catmint here? That was the first thought that jumped to his head. Thank you for the follow, Rosemoon! As he tasted the air, the smell of cats flooded over him, drowning the scent of the herbs. Starlight glimmered in the undergrowth under the tree, and warriors of StarClan began to emerge into the clearing. J-Paw recognized Blue Star, her tail twitching with anxiety. She glanced at a muscular figure of Whitestorm, who followed her into the open. Hello!
They are coming,
the old ThunderClan leader whispered. So many of them.
Maybe not, Whitestorm meowed reassuringly. ThunderClan couldn't have better medicine cats.
J-Paw heard a disgusted snort as yet another starry cat pushed her way through the ferns. Yellowfang, with her ragged gray pelt and burning amber eyes. Are you mouse-brained, Whitestorm? What can a medicine cat do if there aren't any healing herbs? Is there no way we can guide them? A soft mew announced the arrival of Spotted Leaf, her tail waving gracefully as she padded out into the open. No way to help? You tell me, Yellowfang snapped. There is no more catmint on ThunderClan territory, and that's that. I'd give them my pelt if I could, but what use would that be? Will sickness destroy my clan? Blue Star wailed, her claws working furiously, tearing up clumps of grass. One last cat slipped into the clearing, the silver tabby whom J-Paw had seen in Graystripe's memory, her lifeblood gushing out on some stones as she gave birth to a pair of tiny kits. Millie is close to joining us, she murmured. What can we do? Graystripe doesn't deserve to have his heart broken again. None of the other StarClan cats could answer her. They began to circle distractedly, their pelts quivering with distress. None of them had seemed to notice J-Paw. Why am I here? he wondered. If there's nothing useful in this vision, I've got sick cats to look after. A cool breeze swept over the clearing, ruffling the moon-colored fur of the restless cats. Starlight gleamed again in the shadows under the trees, and 3 more cats padded into the open. The first was a young she-cat, barely old enough to be a warrior, her silver tabby pelts glimmering with a pale light. The second cat was older, a silver tabby so like the first that J-Paw guessed she was her mother, while the third was a broad-shouldered tabby tom. Bright Spirit. Blue Star dipped her head respectfully to the young she-cat. It has been a long time.
Shining Heart, Brave Heart.
Whitestorm greeted the 2 older cats.
Your presence honors us.
J-Paw stared at the 3 newcomers. Where had these cats come from? He had never seen them before, or heard their names in any of the clans. Their scent was different too, faintly of StarClan and something else carried on the wind and in starlight. He sensed that they had traveled a long distance. Is that why I'm here? To meet these cats? The 2 older cats remained at the edge of the trees, their tails twined together, but Bright Spirit bounded across the clearing and halted in front of J-Paw. Her green eyes glowed with love and sympathy, and her sweet scent wreathed around him. Greetings, J-Paw, she mewed. You are troubled. J-Paw crouched to the ground. This was no ordinary StarClan cat. He couldn't imagine telling this cat she was merely a clan cat in a different place. Something about her, the way she tipped her head to one side and studied him as if they were the only cats in the clearing, made him spill out the truth. ThunderClan cats are dying. I don't know what to do. Bright Spirit stretched out her neck and rested her muzzle against her ear. What? Rested her muzzle against his ear, warming him with her breath. Seek for the wind, she whispered. The wind holds what you speak. J-Paw took a step back and stared at her. What do you mean? I don't understand. With a hiss, darkness slammed down over his eyes, as if night had suddenly fallen, and he found himself surrounded by the scents of stale herbs and sick cats once more. He bit back a yowl of frustration. She was going to tell me something. For a few heartbeats, he could still make out Bright Spirit's scent and a distinct echo of her voice. Seek for the wind, and may StarClan light your path. Then she was gone. Come on, Millie. Leafpool's voice sounded close by him. Lie down here. J-Paw fetched fresh bedding. J-Paw fetched fresh bedding for you. Thanks, J-Paw, Millie rasped. J-Paw tensed. Had the whole of his vision taken only a couple of heartbeats? He helped Leafpool settle Millie and Briarkit, longing all the while for a bit of peace so that he could think about Bright Spirit and her mysterious words. As the sick cats curled up in their nests, J-Paw heard the sound of racing footsteps draw closer. What now? He picked up Sandstorm's scent as she halted by the bramble screen. Leafpool, come quickly, she gasped. Firestar's ill. How's our stream raiders doing? 8 minutes. Okay. Chapter 12. Leafpool let out a yelp of horror. I'm coming! She slipped past J-Paw and raced after Sandstorm. J-Paw snatched up a couple of the colt's footstalks and dashed after her, scrambling up the rocks leading to Firestar's den without stopping to think about where to put his paws. When he reached the high ledge, the smell of sickness struck him like a blow. Inside his den, Firestar was coughing, and as J-Paw padded up to him, he could feel the heat of fever pulsing from his body. Every hair on J-Paw's pelt stood on end. What would happen to ThunderClan now that their leader was ill? Thanks, J-Paw. Leafpool meowed, taking the colt's foot from him. Here, Firestar, eat this. I'm not that sick, Firestar protested, his voice already roughened from coughing. You should keep the herbs for cats who need them. Don't be ridiculous, Leafpool snapped. You need them. I'm your medicine cat now, and don't you forget it. You were so quiet when you were a kid. Weary amusement crept into Firestar's voice. I never thought you would turn out this bossy. Well, I did, so do as you're told. Leafpool sounded full of affection for her father. Come on. You know the clan needs you to be strong and fit. As Firestar chewed up the herbs, J-Paw slipped out of the den and down into the clearing. Halting at the foot of the rocks, he tasted the air, hoping to find an apprentice to fetch fresh bedding for Firestar. At least the clan leader could be kept apart in his den, so that he wouldn't pass on sickness to healthy cats. But instead of an apprentice, the first scent J-Paw picked up was Brambleclaws. "What's going on?" the deputy asked. "You shouldn't go up there." J-Paw blocked Brambleclaw from climbing up the rocks. Firestar has green cough. "Oh, great Star Clan." Brambleclaw's voice was shocked. "You are helping him, aren't you?" "Leafpool's with him," J-Paw meowed. "She'll do her best." "I know." Her father sounded a little reassured. "Let me pass, J-Paw. I've got to speak to Firestar about the patrols." "Okay." J-Paw moved out of the way. Stay out on the high ledge, though, and talk to him from there. Don't get too close. J-Paw tasted the air again as Brambleclaw's paw steps receded up the rocks, but he still couldn't pick up Foxpaw or Icepaw's scent. This time it was Graystripe who padded up to him. "J-Paw, how's Millie?" he demanded. "She's really sick, isn't she?" J-Paw would have liked to find a comforting lie, but he knew that Graystripe would have never believed it. He nodded, and was almost knocked off his paws by the strength of agony that surged over him from the great warrior. Is that love? He wondered, does Graystripe care about Millie that much? It's as if his own life was in danger. "The silver cat who died," he mewed. "You loved her, didn't you?" Graystripe caught his breath, startled. Yes, her name was Silverstream. She was Stormfur and Feathertail's mother." He fell silent, wreathed in sad memories. "You couldn't have done anything to save her," J-Paw told him. "She lives in StarClan, and she's watching over Millie now. She doesn't want Millie to join her in StarClan yet, when she has your kits to care for." "You know all this?" Graystripe asked, shocked. J-Paw nodded. "I heard her in a vision." "It's so like Silverstream to care," Graystripe murmured. "But it's not much comfort right now. StarClan can't fight Greencough any better than we can here." He sounded defeated, as if he had made up his mind that he was going to lose Millie as he had lost Silverstream. Anger scorched through J-Paw like a devouring flame. "Cats won't die! I'll do something!" He wanted to battle the sickness, not only for the dying cats of his own clan, and for warriors like Graystripe who loved them, but for all the cats in StarClan who didn't want any more cats in their ranks, not so many and so soon. "And for Bright Spirit," he added. "She came to help me. And somehow I'll work out the meaning of what she said." Still looking for Foxpaw and Icepaw, J-Paw padded over to the apprentice's den. Before he reached it, he sent in a hunting patrol returning through the thorn tunnel. Breaking for a line blazed Cloudtail and Cinderheart. All four of them were carrying prey, but J-Paw could sense their weariness and discouragement. "It's happening just like Leafpool said," he thought. "So many cats are sick. There aren't enough for all the patrols." J-Paw stuck his head through the break-in that grew against the entrance to the apprentice den. Little snuffling sounds told him Foxpaw was asleep. His breathing was even. The day before, Leafpool had given him a dose of tansy, and it seemed to have cleared up his cough. One less cat to worry about. "Hey!" J-Paw slipped inside the den and poked Foxpaw with one paw. "Wake up!" "What?" Foxpaw raised his head. "I need you to fetch fresh bedding for Firestar." The ginger apprentice let out a huge, noisy yawn. "Can't some other cat do it? I did Dawn Patrol and the hunting patrol with Sandstorm. She said I could have rest." J-Paw couldn't help feeling a twinge of sympathy. "Every cat is overworked," he meowed. "Icepaw could help you if you can find her." "She's out hunting with Whitewing," Foxpaw told him, scrambling to his paws and grunting as he stretched. "Okay, I'm coming." "Make sure the bedding's dry," J-Paw instructed as Foxpaw brushed past the ferns into the clearing. "And get rid of the old stuff well away from camp. Firestar's sick." "Why didn't you say so?" Foxpaw's voice was full of dismay. His paw steps receded, racing towards the tunnel. J-Paw padded over to the fresh kill pile and collected a squirrel for the elders. Before he reached the den under the hazel bush, he could hear Longtail coughing and a comforting murmur from Mousefur. "Here you are." J-Paw dragged the squirrel into the den and dropped it beside Mousefur. "How are you, Longtail?" "His cough is getting worse," Mousefur snapped. "When are you going to fetch him some catmint?" "When hedgehogs fly." J-Paw suppressed the sharp comment. "We haven't got any," he told Mousefur. "I'll fetch him some tansy, though, and borage for the fever." Mousefur snorted. "A poor medicine cat you turned out to be, if you haven't even got catmint." "Ha!" Mouse fur! Don't be mean! Once again, J-Paw stopped himself from snapping back at her. He knew that the cranky elder was worried about her den mate. At least the tansy leaves mouse fur had eaten had kept her from getting sick, so far. Longtail, try to eat some of the fresh kill, he urged. You need to keep up your strength. Okay, Longtail croaked between bouts of coughing. Thanks, great J-Paw. With a nod to Mousefur, J-Paw left the den and padded back to the fresh kill pile to fetch prey for the sick cats in the warrior's den. When he pushed his way through the branches, he located Thornclaw and Dustpelt in nests to one side. Ferncloud was curled up close to her mate. This is ridiculous, the tabby warrior was mewing. I'm perfectly able to go out on patrol. No, you're not, Ferncloud told him. You're staying here if I have to hold you down. J-Paw heard her tongue rasping affectionately over her mate's pelt. J-Paw dropped the mouse in front of Dustpelt and another beside Thornclaw. The golden tabby had been ill for longer than any cat except Millie, and his breathing sounded fast and shallow. He lay on one side and didn't respond when J-Paw checked him with a paw. His pelt was rough, and J-Paw could feel every one of his ribs. J-Paw's muscles tense. Thornclaw could already be on his way to Starkland. Bruh. Is there anything I can do? J-Paw felt Ferncloud's breath warm against his ear. Not much, but thanks, J-Paw meowed. Try to get him to eat that mouse when he wakes. I will. Ferncloud touched her nose to J-Paw's muzzle, then went to curl up beside Dustpelt. J-Paw, Squirrelflight's voice came from the other side of the den. I want you to tell Leafpool that I'm fit enough to go hunting. Her paw steps approached. J-Paw could feel pain and stiffness in every movement. So you want me to lie to my mentor? Hi, nonsense. You can tell her my wounds has healed. J-Paw sniffed at his mother where claws had slashed down her side in the battle with WindClan and RiverClan. The wound had closed, but there was no smell of infection, but her fur had yet to grow back, and J-Paw could tell that her muscles were still stiff. You're not ready, he growled, and Leafpool would tell you the same. I'll ask her to come and check you, and maybe you can start some gentle exercises, but that doesn't include chasing squirrels. Squirrelflight snorted. ThunderClan needs every warrior we have right now. Yes, we do. J-Paw's patience with his mother was rapidly running out. But can't you see it'll make more work for us if you go back on patrol before you're ready? Squirrelflight's reply was cut off by the sound of another warrior pushing into the den. J-Paw picked up Mouse Whisker's scent, which had an edge of urgency. Foxpaw told me that Firestar is ill, he exclaimed. There was a stir of movement among the other cats. Starkland forbid! Ferncloud wailed. What do we do if our leader dies? WindClan and RiverClan will attack us again for sure. He won't die, J-Paw insisted, putting all the conviction he could into the words. And if he does lose a life, he still has plenty more. That doesn't mean he can throw them away, Squirrelflight snapped. And Brahmaclaw will need to do even more patrols. What if our leader and our deputy get sick? We're doing everything we can to fight the sickness, J-Paw meowed. And Firestar is a strong, fit cat. I know, but... Squirrelflight's voice died away. J-Paw could sense the same anguish coming for her as she had picked up on Graystripe earlier. Without another word, she turned away and padded back into her nest. Worry surged over J-Paw again as he thrust through the branches of the warrior's den and went to collect fresh kill for the cats in the nursery. He was afraid Leafpool had been right when she said that they were losing the battle. Without Catmint, there was nothing they could do. I have to find some. Somehow, I must work out what Bright Spirit was trying to tell me. By the time J-Paw had finished reporting to Leafpool and taking what few herbs they had to the sick cats, night was falling. He curled up in his nest in the medicine cat's den, wriggling deep into the moss to block out the sound of Millie and Briarkit snuffling and wheezing close by. Wait, there was a pause. There's a pause! Let me start the battle! Pwah! Oh. Okay, I'll place a spell. Haste! Bam! Well, now it tells me... Just gives me the... Do you want to start the battle without the spell warning? Oh my god, we... Jesus Christ! That was so fast! What the? That's just overkill. The level 30s are back. Woo! Okay. Let's try... What else do I have? This! Blob! Yay! I can't wait until I get the kitty skin. That's the one I really want. Cha. I'm gonna go check on my roommate really quickly. I'll be right back. Have fun. Battling. Did someone place a unit outside the placement areas? What the? Where? No, there's a placement area here. Wait, no, that's you. No, there's only you. There's only me and you. Only me and you. Okay, I'll be right back. I'm back. My roommate did something dumb and opened the door to let our cats sunbathe, even though she is very allergic to all of the pollen right now, and then started to get an allergy attack. And then I went outside to scold her, And the door was still open. And so I had to collect the cats and bring them inside and scold her some more. Silly Billy. Also, I got some dinner. All right, let's continue. Almost done. Kitty's happiness or allergies? You can only choose one. It is! And allergies is most important right now. By the time J-Pa finished reporting to Leaf Pool... Oh wait, I already read that. J-Pa remembered his meeting with the beautiful silver tabby and the warmth in her gaze as she spoke to him. Seek for the wind. But there was wind everywhere, and you didn't have to look for it. It rustled through the branches of the trees, swept over the lake, flattened the moorland grass on the way to the moon pool. If only it was as easy to find as Catmint. Seek for the wind. And you'll find Catmint. Was that what Bright Spirit meant for him to understand? Excitement tingled through J-Paw from ears to tail tip. He flexed his claws, snagging the moss beneath him. Where did the wind blow harder than anywhere else? Of course, over WindClan territory. There was no Catmint on ThunderClan territory. The RiverClan supply was too far away, and the sparse undergrowth under the pines of ShadowClan made it unlikely that there was any there. If there was more Catmint around the lake, it must be in WindClan. Japo wanted to leap out of his nest and go charging through the forest, but he knew that would be totally mouse-brained. He didn't know his way around WindClan territory, and even if he could see, he had no idea where to start looking for the herb. For Medicine Cat, you have powers. Use them. Curling into a tight ball, J-Paw closed his eyes. He had never walked in the dreams of a cat who was so far away, but Kestrelpaw, the WindClan Medicine Cat apprentice, had always been open and friendly towards him. Dumb, but friendly. Maybe that would make it easier to step into his dreams. J-Paw pictured himself headed out of camp and through the woods towards WindClan territory. Leaping the stream that marked the border, he swooped across the moorland on feather-light paws until he reached the top of the hollow where WindClan had their camp. Letting the dream carry him onwards, he padded among indistinct shapes of rocks and bushes, focusing on the wide crack in a boulder where Barkface and Kestrelpaw had their den. Inside the crack, the Medicine Cat and his apprentice were curled up in nests of moorland grass and feathers that stirred with each breath. J-Paw's shadowy form curled up beside Kestrelpaw, touching his warm, soft fur. He slowed his breathing to match the other cats. Beats later, he felt wind buffeting his fur and found himself in Kestrelpaw's dream. The young Medicine Cat was padding over the moor with the scents of grass and sheep all around him. Clouds scuttled across a pale blue sky, and dew glittered under the rays of the early morning sun. Hi, J-Paw! Kestrelpaw sounded surprised but warm. What are you doing here? I just thought I'd visit you, J-Paw tensed, wondering if Kestrelpaw would realize how weird that was. If he was too disturbed, he might wake, and J-Paw would be thrown out of the dream and back into his own nest. Great! Kestrelpaw flicked his ears in welcome. Isn't it a beautiful day? I thought I'd come out early and look for a few herbs. J-Paw longed to ask Kestrelpaw what kind of herbs he hoped to find, but he was still wary of spooking the other apprentice. Instead, he just followed Kestrelpaw across the moor. Does the stream flow down towards ThunderClan? He asked casually as they leapt across a trickle of brown, peaty water fringed by reeds. Yes, it joins the border stream, Kestrelpaw replied. He's not suspicious at all, J-Paw thought. After all, it's just a dream, right? I don't suppose you find much prey up here, he went on, anxious to keep the WindClan cat talking. Then you suppose wrong. Kestrelpaw's tail shot up and he raised his head proudly. Can't you smell all the rabbits? And sometimes we catch birds. Crowfeather taught us how the tribe hunts in the mountains. I guess you've got to be fast, J-Paw commented. Kestrelpaw gave his chest fur a couple of quick licks. That's what WindClan cats are best at. So what about herbs? J-Paw went on, his belly churning as he asked the question that really mattered. Looks pretty bleak up here. Not the right place for growing most kinds of plants. Wrong again. We've got good stocks tucked away along the streams and in a bit of woodland next to ThunderClan border. That must be good for watermint, J-Paw remarked. What about catmint? Oh yes, we've got plenty of that. Kestrel Paw pointed with his nose towards a spot where the moor dipped down sharply to a tumble of rocks. Down there. Really? Oh, really? J-Paw forced himself to sound mildly interested when what he really wanted to do was bounce up and down, caterwauling in triumph. Yes, there's... Just in front of the two apprentices, a rabbit started up and out of the gorse thicket and streaked its way across the moor. Kestrel Paw broke off from what he was saying and raced after it, his belly fur brushing the coarse grass. Thanks, rabbit, J-Paw murmured. He waited until the WindClan apprentice had disappeared, then scrambled down the slope to the rocks. Sniffing the air, he picked up the scent of water and a strong smell of catmint. A few heartbeats later, he found it, a spring welling up between two of the rocks, with thick clumps of catmint growing all around it. For a few moments, J-Paw stood still, breathing in the scent of the precious herb. He wished desperately that he could tear off a bundle of the stalks and carry them back to his clan, but he was still dreaming. Some cat would have to come here in the waking world and steal some of the herb from WindClan. It's not really stealing, he told himself. Not when we need it so badly. And WindClan has plenty. Gradually, J-Paw realized that the catmint was not all he could smell. A familiar scent clung around the rocks, the scent of caves and earth and deeply buried water. Scrambling among the stones, he tried to find where the scent was strongest. Finally, he found it, a narrow gap between the rocks, leading down into darkness. This must be the entrance to the underground tunnels. Maybe this is the way WindClan came when they raided our territory. In the mud, in front of the gap, he could see the traces of several paw prints. Taking a quick glance around, he padded forward and squeezed himself through the gap. The passage quickly grew wider, and J-Paw could make out the scent of WindClan cats clinging to the stone. J-Paw! J-Paw! J-Paw stiffened, and Kestrel Paw spotted him. Had Kestrel Paw spotted him going into the tunnel and became suspicious? J-Paw! A paw prodded him sharply in the side. J-Paw, Millie's fever is worse. Can you fetch her some moss soaked with water? J-Paw opened his eyes on darkness and scrambled out of his nest, shaking himself to dislodge scraps of moss and bracken from his pelt. The chill of early dawn filled the den, together with Leafpool's fierce scent, and at the other side he could hear Millie's harsh breathing and Briarkit mewling pitifully. She's going to die, isn't she? The little kit sounded terrified. And I'll never see you again, 'cause I don't know the way to StarClan. Oh! I'll never see you again, 'cause I don't know the way to StarClan. That's the saddest thing I've ever heard. What the heck? We're all doing all we can. Leafpool moved away, and J-Paw pictured her bending her head to comfort the frightened kit. And even if she does die, you'll see her again one day, when she's in StarClan. She'll know the right time to come and fetch you. Are you sure? Briarkit still sounded uncertain. I promise you, Leafpool reassured her. J-Paw's legs started to shake with fear. Leafpool was acting as if she was resigned to watching every one of her clanmates die. We have got to get that catmint now. I'll fetch the moss, he mewed, and whisked out of the den. As soon as he had delivered the dripping moss to Millie, he slipped out again and crept through the branches into the warrior's den. The air was full of the warm scent of sleeping cats. It was so early that hardly any of them were stirring. J-Paw located Lion Blaze by his scent and woke him with a sharp prod in the shoulder. Lion Blaze's muscles flexed and he raised his head. J-Paw, something wrong? J-Paw bent his head to whisper in his brother's ear. I know where there's a supply of catmint. Really? J-Paw could sense Lion Blaze's excitement. Where? In WindClan. Near the entrance to a tunnel. You have to go and fetch some. The excitement J-Paw could feel in Lion Blaze changed abruptly to horror and disgust. No, he mewed hoarsely. I'll never go to WindClan. Never. Lion Blaze! Bro, everyone's dying? You don't want to go in and steal their catmint? Yum, yum. Chapter 13. Lion Blaze felt cool grass brushing his belly fur as he crept forward. The scent of WindClan was in his nostrils. Leaves scratched his pelt and left raindrops on his ears and whiskers, but he was concentrating too hard to flick them away. Every muscle in his body was focused on what he could see in front of him. Now! Pushing off with his powerful back legs, Lion Blaze leaped. The squirrel fled, but it was too late. Lion Blaze's claws sank into its shoulders, and he killed it with a swift bite to the throat. As the squirrel went limp, Lion Blaze's vision blurred. A lake of scarlet, sticky blood spread out across the grass and leaves of the forest floor. He could taste the stench of it. The squirrel became a gray-furred she-cat. Lion Blaze found himself looking down at Heatherpaw's dead body. Her blood clogged his paws. No, oh no, he whispered. Ever since J-Paw had asked him to fetch the catmint from WindClan 2 sunrises before, Lion Blaze had felt guilty. But he couldn't do it. He was too scared that his dream would come true and he would end up killing Heatherpaw. He shuddered, staring at the dreadful vision of the dead cat he had once loved. Yet again, he wished that he could be an ordinary warrior, without the powers that terrified him more and more as they grew. If only I could tell J-Paw how I feel. But he couldn't show weakness to his brother, not when J-Paw was dependent on him to fulfill his part of the prophecy. He only knew that he couldn't risk going into WindClan territory, especially not through the tunnels. Heatherpaw had betrayed him. Lion Blaze desperately wanted to believe her story that it was the kits who had given away the secret of the tunnels, but he couldn't be sure that was true. Heatherpaw was his enemy now, because he was completely committed to ThunderClan. Why should he trust a cat from another clan? He would never forgive Heatherpaw, but he still didn't want her blood on his paws. As the vision faded, Lion Blaze straightened up with his prey in his jaws. Ashfur was approaching through the break-in from the stream that marked the WindClan border, carrying a couple of voles by their tails. Spiderleg followed him with a mouse. Well done, Ashfur nodded to Lion Blaze, dropping his prey nearby. Have you seen Sorreltail? We've caught as much as we can manage. Here! Sorreltail staggered through the undergrowth, dragging a rabbit nearly as big as she was. Phew! Dropping the prey, she spat out a clump of fur. Some other cat can carry that back. As they padded back to the stone hollow, Lion Blaze's worries started to creep back into his mind. So far, Leaffall had been mild and prey was running well, but there weren't enough warriors fit to hunt. When he had left camp that morning, Brightheart was coughing, and he had spotted Honeyfern headed towards the medicine's den. How long before so many cats are sick that there aren't enough of us left to take care of them? The fresh kill pile was ominously low when Lion Blaze dropped his prey on it. We'll go out again right away, Ashfur announced, but we should all eat something first to keep our strength up. I'm fine, Sorreltail meowed. One of the sick cats can have mine. Ashfur padded up to her. You will eat. What good will you be to your clan if you get sick too? Sorreltail stared back at him rebelliously for a heartbeat, then dropped her gaze. Okay, you're right. But Lion Blaze noticed she chose the smallest mouse from the pile. As he gulped down a vole, he spotted J-Paw emerging from the warrior's den. Swallowing the last mouthful, he bounded across to him. How's Brightheart? He asked. I heard her coughing this morning, and Honeyfern was on her way to your den. Like you care, J-Paw snapped at him. I do! Guilt and indignation battled inside Lion Blaze. That's not why I won't go to WindClan. They both have green cough, J-Paw mewed curtly. Cloudtail too. Told them not to leave their nests. Now will you go fetch the catmint? I can't. Lion Blaze flinched from the fury in J-Paw's eyes. He wished that he could explain to J-Paw about his dreams, that he would then he would understand why it was impossible for him to go to WindClan. Then tell him! He's the dream cat, goofball! Why can't you send another cat instead? He asked. You know why, J-Paw spat, his fur bristling up. You know what it's like in the tunnels. So does Hollyleaf, Lion Blaze argued. She could go... Hollyleaf, J-Paw interrupted. You know what she's like about the warrior code. Do you think she'd agree to trespassing on another clan's territory and steal their herbs? She'd claw our ears off if we even mentioned it. No, it has to be you. Besides, you're the best fighter we've got, and if you get caught, you'll need your powers to escape. Then why can't Leafpool ask Barkface for some catmint? Stupid furball, J-Paw hissed. Which cats did we just fight? Barkface might give Leafpool catmint, but One Star wouldn't have to know. And if he found out ThunderClan is weak, he'll attack again before you could say mouse. Lashing his tail, he added, It's useless talking to you. I never thought my own brother would stand by and let his clan die. Spinning around, he stalked towards his den. Oh. Lineblaze watched him go, then padded sadly back to the patrol by the fresh kill pile. Brambleclaw and Squirrelflight had appeared, and Greystripe bounded up to choose a piece of fresh kill and head for the medicine cat's den. Take some for yourself as well, Squirrelflight called after him, but Greystripe gave no sign that he'd hurt her. Okay, Ashfur, Brambleclaw meowed. When you take out your patrol again, go along the Shadow Clan border. You can combine the border patrol with some hunting, but when you get back, that's it for today. You need rest. Take your own advice, then. Squirrelflight gave her mate a flick on the shoulder with her tail. You need rest, too. I can't. Lineblaze's heart sank when he saw how bright Brambleclaw's eyes were, and heard a rasp in his voice. I need to fix up more patrols. Sorrowtail leaned in to Lineblaze and murmured in his ear, If your father gets ill. Lineblaze nodded, but didn't reply. There was no need. With Firestar's stick, ThunderClan depended on their deputy to protect them. Oh, StarClan, Lineblaze thought, why are you letting this happen? Gray clouds covered the sky, but the air was still mild. Wind rustled through the trees above the hollow, but down below the cats were sheltered. Lineblaze had just returned from a hunting patrol with Brambleclaw, Hollyleaf, and Cinderheart. Breakenfur and Sorreltail was sprawled near the fresh kill pile, sharing tongues, while Sandstorm crouched beside them, eating a thrush. As Lineblaze and the others dropped their prey in the pile, Leafpool and J-Paw appeared to choose fresh kill for themselves. How's Millie? Sandstorm asked, looking up from her thrush. If she doesn't get some catmint soon, she'll die, Leafpool meowed flatly. J-Paw shot a furious glare at Lineblaze as he snatched a mouse from the pile. Lineblaze felt it like a claw raking across his pelt. Stop blaming me! I can't go to WindClan! Out of the corner of his eye, he caught the flicker of a flame-colored pelt up on the high ledge. Looking up, he saw that Firestar had appeared. Every hair on his pelt tingled with shock. What was the clan leader doing out of his nest? He looked unsteady on his paws, and when he opened his jaws to speak, all that came out was a cough. Firestar! Sandstorm leaped to her feet. What do you think you're doing? Go back to your nest right now. Leafpool sprang up and raced for the rocks, closely followed by Sandstorm. Firestar stretched out a paw to halt them. Don't come any closer, he rasped. The sickness spreads too easily. We have to get the sick cats out of the camp to keep the others healthy. But we can't do that, Leafpool objected, halting at the foot of the tumbled rocks. There's nowhere for them to go. Yes, there is, Firestar told her, his two bright eyes shining with triumph. The old two-leg nest has walls with a roof to shelter us, and there's a stream nearby where we can drink. But I can't be in two places at once, Leafpool pointed out. She sounded anguished, as if she hated to refuse the hope that Firestar offered. You don't need to be, Firestar meowed. I shall look after the sick cats. You can tell me which herbs to use and keep me supplied without coming too close. Sandstorm let out a gusty sigh, fluttering her whiskers. This is ridiculous. You're putting yourself in danger. You need rest just as much as the other sick cats. Bimstar! Hi. Firestar looked down at her, love glowing from his green eyes. I have lives to lose. My clan mates do not. I have to do this for their sake. Murmurs of surprise came from the cats gathered around the fresh kill pile. Brambleclaw looked up at his leader, then slowly nodded, as if he was making a promise. It might work, Breakenfur remarked. I think it's worth a try, Cinderheart agreed. If we don't do something, every cat will get sick. The more Lineblaze thought about Firestar's suggestion, the more sense he could see in it. The sick cats would have a safe, dry place to stay, and those who were left could look after themselves better. Leafpool and J-Paw would have more chance of keeping well, and maybe J-Paw's catmint plants at the two-leg nest would have grown enough to provide some healing leaves. There aren't enough yet, J-Paw growled as if Lineblaze had spoken out loud. We need more! Half the clan is sick! That's so funny. J-Paw reading his mind is the funniest thing. Lineblaze felt as if his littermate's glare was scorching his pelt. Turning away, he padded over to Hollyleaf. Isn't Firestar great? She meowed. I'm so proud he's our kin. I wonder if I'd have the courage to do what he's doing. Lineblaze touched his nose to her shoulder. I'm sure you would. What about my courage? He asked himself. I should be brave enough to fetch the catman, but I can't do it. I just can't. On the high ledge, Firestar straightened up and lifted his head. Let all cats! His attempt to raise his voice ended in a bout of coughing. Brambleclaw bounded up to the high ledge and spoke rapidly to his leader. Lineblaze could hear what they said, and a moment later, Firestar staggered back into his den. Brambleclaw looked down at the clearing. Let all cats old enough to catch their own prey join here beneath the high ledge for a clan meeting, he yowled. Foxpaw and Icepaw appeared from the elder's den, each with a bundle of soiled bedding. Mousefur followed them and stalked across to where Sandstorm and Leafpool stood at the foot of the tumbled rocks. Ferncloud and Squirrelflight emerged from the warrior's den and padded over to the fresh kill pile. Berrynose and Graystripe pushed their way out after them and stayed sitting just outside the den. Lineblaze's heart sank to see how few cats answered the summons. So many of the clan were sick, and the rest of them must be out on patrol. Brambleclaw began to explain to the cats who hadn't heard Firestar's plan. We'll need to collect a lot of moss and bracken, and dried leaves and feathers, anything to keep the sick cats comfortable and warm, he continued. Lineblaze and Hollyleaf, you can do that, and take the apprentices with you. Lineblaze flicked his tail in acknowledgement of his father's order. Brakenfur, you're good at mending den walls, Brambleclaw went on. Find some warriors to help you, and block the holes in the two-legged nest so that there aren't any drafts. Sure, Brambleclaw, Ginger Warrior replied. And there'll need to be a new fresh kill pile. Sandstorm, you're at best at hunting. Can I put you in charge of that? Sandstorm gave him a tense nod. Her green eyes narrowed as if she was already planning her hunt. Leafpool, you'll need to transport herbs for Firestar to use. Get another warrior to help you if you have to collect more. I'll do that, Leafpool replied. And every cat should keep a lookout for catmen. It's just possible there are a few clumps we've overlooked. Lineblaze could tell that the medicine cat didn't believe what she was saying, but he knew that they couldn't ignore even the smallest chance of discovering more of their precious herb. And if we did find some, I wouldn't feel so guilty anymore. Right, Brambleclaw began. Then, what about me? Squirrelflight interrupted, her green eyes blazing in a challenge. You don't expect me to sit around in camp and do nothing. You're not fit to leave yet, Leafpool retorted instantly. You'll leave when our medicine cat says you can, Brambleclaw told his mate, but you won't be doing nothing. As the cats on patrol come back, you can explain to them what's happening and give them jobs to do. Squirrelflight hesitated, as if she was going to argue, then gave a reluctant nod, muttering something under her breath as she scrapped her claws in the earth. Okay, meeting's over, Brambleclaw meowed crisply. Crisply? Let's get moving. Lineblaze beckoned the apprentices with a wave of his tail, and led the way to the thorn tunnel with Hollyleaf patting at his shoulder. His paws tingled with urgency. Even the apprentices didn't complain at the task. It feels weird. Hollyleaf was looking worried as they headed deeper into the forest. The clans have never been split up like this before. The clan has never been split up like this before. It's the best way to save lives, Lineblaze answered. There's nothing about this in the warrior code except we all swear to defend our clan, so I guess this is one way of doing it. Her anxious look faded. Lineblaze led the other cats further from camp, into the clearing where the moss lay deep and undisturbed. Thanks to our clan it hasn't rained recently, Foxpaw muttered, as he tugged a huge swath of moss away from a tree root and started to bundle it up. Be careful to squeeze all the water out, Hollyleaf instructed him, and dig as deep as you can to find the driest bits. Hey, look what I found! Icepaw came bounding across the clearing with a bunch of gray and white feathers in her jaws. There's a whole lot more over there, she added. A fox must have killed a pigeon. That's good, Lineblaze meowed. They'll be soft to lie on. Collect as much as you can. When they had as much bedding as they could carry, he and the other cats headed for the two-legged den. Lineblaze pricked his ears in surprise as they approached. The place that had always been eerily quiet was now swarming with activity like a disturbed ant's nest. Poppyfrost bounded past him with a bundle of sticks in her jaws, followed by Birchfall, who was dragging a long tendril of bramble. When Lionblaze reached the entrance to the den, he saw Cinderheart stuffing more bramble into a gap between the stones. Great, Poppyfrost, she meowed as the young tortoiseshell dropped the sticks at her paws. That's just what we needed. I'll fetch some more. Poppy Frost spun around and whisked past Lion Blaze, back into the forest. Let's have that moss over here, Sorreltail called. She was helping Ashford drag branches into place, separating the floor of the den into separate nests. Put it there, she continued, waving her tail towards a wide space at the back of the den, already surrounded by thorns woven together. That's going to be the nursery. Foxpaw and Icepaw followed Lion Blaze and his sister and dropped their bundles into place. In the place Sorreltail had shown them, both the apprentices stared around uneasily as if they expected something to leap out at them from the shadows in the corners of the nest. Lion Blaze could understand how they felt. The straight lines and hard angles of the two-legged nest were uncomfortably strange. The floor was hard and cold under his paws, and it didn't feel right to have a solid roof overhead, without gaps for sunlight or moonlight to shine through. That must be why Poppyfrost dashed off so quickly, he thought. Will the sick cats really be able to settle down here? Well, why are you standing there? Sorreltail asked. Go and fetch us some more moss. She gave Lion Blaze an affectionate prod with her muzzle, softening her sharp tone. Make sure it's good and dry, and we'll need all you can find. When Lion Blaze and the others returned the second time, he spotted Sandstorm approaching at the head of the hunting patrol. Berrynose and Whitewing followed her. All three cats had their jaws stuffed with prey. Sandstorm headed for a hollow tree trunk a few fox lengths from the entrance to the two-legged nest. Among thick growths of fern and long grass, she dropped her fresh kill just inside the opening. I'm glad I found this, she commented. The prey will keep dry here. And we can stay away from the sick cats, Berrynose added as he dumped his own catch. Foxes might come and steal it, Whitewing mewed, adding her fresh kill to the growing pile. Would it help if we marked the opening? Good idea, Sandstorm replied, and we'll set markers around the edges of the old two-legged garden. If foxes think a lot of cats are around here, they might stay away. They won't know the cats are too sick to fight, Lion Blaze thought as he led his patrol inside the den with their bundles of moss. By now the two-legged nest was looking much more welcoming. Ashford had finished dividing up the area into nests separated by branches. The first load of bedding was spread neatly in the nursing area. Ragenfur and Cinderheart were sniffing along the walls, pushing twigs and leaves into any cracks they had missed. Leafpool was there, too, checking for drafts in the nursery area. Over here, she called to Ragenfur. The wind's cutting through me like a claw. Ragenfur bounded over with a bundle of dry leaves and shoved them into the gap the medicine cat had pointed out. Much better. Leafpool waved her tail approvingly. Sorreltail showed Lion Blaze and the others where to put their moss. That's great, she meowed, flexing her claws into the fresh bedding. But we still need more. I know. Lion Blaze twitched his whiskers. We're on our way. Leaving the den, he saw J-Paw and Mouse Whisker approaching from the direction of the camp with bundles of herbs in their jaws. They laid them on the flat stone near the entrance to the den, and J-Paw separated them neatly into piles. Pity there's no catmint, he commented to Mouse Whisker, loudly enough for Lion Blaze to hear. The sick cats would stand a much better chance if we had some. What about the plants growing here? Mouse Whisker asked. I've checked, J-Paw replied, swinging his head around to glare at Lion Blaze from sightless blue eyes. They're starting to grow again, but only a tiny bit. Guilt stabbed Lion Blaze again, sharp as thorns, but he said nothing. He couldn't explain to J-Paw why he'd refused to go through the tunnels into WindClan territory. What if cats die because of your dreams? Unable to answer the question, Lion Blaze raced off into the forest as if a horde of badgers were hard on his paws. But as he headed for the moss place, he knew that he would never outrun his guilt. My goodness. Not fire. Lion Blaze, just do it. Just do it. A wild ride in the no-no chat. Are you sure? Snickle Fritz. The sun was going down, filling the forest with red light bared with dark shadows, as Lion Blaze and his patrol returned to the old two-legged nest once more. He had lost count how many loads of moss he and his clanmates had gathered and brought to the nest. Crossing the hard stone path, Lion Blaze saw Leafpool standing at the entrance to the nest with Brambleclaw beside her. They broke off their conversation when they spotted the patrol. Well done, Brambleclaw meowed. Take that inside, and then you can stop. Everything's ready. Lineblaze led his clanmates up to the nest, noticing that there was now a well-stocked fresh kill pile inside the hollow tree. Inside, the nest felt warm and safe, with cozy dens big enough for 2 or 3 cats to sleep, and a bigger area for the nursery, lined with the softest moss and feathers. Ferncloud was patting the clumps into place. Sorreltail waved Lineblaze over to the last space, and spread out the moss and bracken he and the others were carrying. All done, she declared, touching her nose to his. Thanks, all of you. Looking around, Lineblaze saw that most of the healthy cats had gathered in the nest. Brakenfur and Cinderheart both had their pelts snagged by thorns and brambles, but their eyes glowed with satisfaction. Bobbyfrost was busy licking one of her pads as if she had a thorn in it. Greystripe was flexing his claws in the moss. Lineblaze guessed he was impatient to get back to Millie. Berrynose had curled up for a snooze in one of the new nests. Hazeltail gave him a sharp prod with one paw. Get up, stupid furball, she hissed. Those aren't for us. I've been working all day, Berrynose grumbled, rising to his paws and giving his shoulder for a quick lick to hide his embarrassment. Leafpool appeared in the entrance, with Brambleclaw just behind her. Everything's ready, she mewed. We can go back to camp now, but no cat must go inside until our sick clanmates come out. From now on, we have to stay away from them. What? Greystripe's claws worked harder in the moss. You mean we can't help them? Some of them are too weak to make the journey without us, Brakenfur objected. The stronger ones will help the weaker, Leafpool told him in a tone that warned every cat not to argue. You know how fast the sickness spreads. We need to stay strong and healthy to provide for ourselves and the ones who are sick. She's right, Brambleclaw added from where he stood at the medicine cat's shoulder. That's why we're doing this, remember? There were no more objections, but Lineblaze's pelt prickled at the thought of his sick clanmate struggling along without help, and from the glances they exchanged he could see that most of the other cats felt the same. Leafpool led the way back to camp and vanished into the tunnel through the thorns. Brambleclaw waved his tail to set the rest of the clan into position on either side, leaving a wide space between to lead the cats through. Lineblaze's belly clenched in pity as they began to emerge. Firestar led the way, his head raised proudly even though he was shaken by a bout of coughing as he padded past. Cloudtail supported Thornclaw, while Dustpelt leaned on Brightheart's shoulder. Hollow coughs came from the brown tabby. Lineblaze could see every one of his ribs, while his pelt was thin and dull. Ferncloud let out a piteous mew, instinctively starting forward. Birchfell raised his tail to bar her way. Dustpelt turned his head, blinking eyes glazed with fever. Keep back, he meowed hoarsely. I'll be fine. Ferncloud looked away and buried her muzzle into Birchfell's shoulder for... Daisy was the next cat to appear, carrying Rosekit, with Toadkit, Blossomkit, and Bumblecit. Are all the kits sick now? I guess. Oh. What if all the kits die? The mischievous kits were unusually subdued, their gaze fixed on their paws as they padded quietly along. Oh, okay. They were just following. You can't go with Rosekit, Brambleclaw declared, stepping out to bar Daisy's path. You and the healthy kits have to stay in camp. Nonsense! Rosekit let out a feeble wail as Daisy set her down gently to confront the clan deputy. Who will feed Rosekit if I'm not there? Rosekit can eat fresh kill now, Brambleclaw replied, and Firestone will make sure she's cared for. Do you want the other kits to get sick? For a couple of heartbeats, Daisy stood glaring at him, then dropped her gaze and padded to one side, gathering the healthy kits to her with a sweep of her tail. I want to go with Rosekit, Toadkit mewed furiously. You can't. Daisy stood to touch her remaining kit on the head with her nose. You can help her best by keeping well and strong. Toadkit still looked rebellious, but he didn't say any more. Honeyfern, emerging from the barrier, took in the situation at a glance and stood over Rosekit. I promised to look after her, she told Daisy, who gave her a grateful nod. Rosekit batted the air with her paws and went on wailing as her clanmate carried her towards the 2-legged nest. More movement in the tunnel signaled Millie's approach. The gray she-cat was supported on either side by Leafpool and J-Paw. Lineblaze caught his breath in horror when he saw her. Her paws barely moved. The medicine cats were all but carrying her. Her pelt clung to her ribs, and her sides heaved as she let out a rasping cough. Jesus. No! Graystripe yowled from just behind Lineblaze and Hollyleaf. He plunged forward. Lineblaze blocked him, and Hollyleaf sank her teeth into the loose fur on his shoulder. "Let me go!" Graystripe snarled as he struggled. "She's dying! I have to go to her!" Lineblaze braced himself. It went against everything he had learned to fight a clanmate, but he knew that he couldn't allow Graystripe to get near his sick mate. "Keep back!" Leafpool ordered, raising her tail in warning. Graystripe ignored her and kept struggling, lashing out a paw to rake his claws down Lineblaze's shoulder. "Stop!" Brambleclaw bounded up to help. "Graystripe." Firestar's hoarse voice came from the head of the pitiful line of cats. The clan leader had halted and turned to face his friend. "I know how you feel, but you must stay away from Millie." His voice was full of sympathy. Lineblaze knew how deep the friendship between the two cats was. "Millie needs you to stay strong and healthy." Graystripe stopped struggling and took a long breath. "Firestar, my heart is clawed in pieces." "I know, but what you're doing now doesn't help, Graystripe. If Millie's paws truly are set on the path to StarClan, then I'll send for you to say goodbye. I promise you." Graystripe hesitated for a heartbeat, then bowed his head. "I'll hold you to that, Firestar," he choked out. Lineblaze and Brambleclaw stood back, and Hollyleaf let go of her grip on the Grey Warrior's shoulder. Graystripe stood still, his head and tail drooping. Lineblaze was close enough to feel the shivers that were running through him. Leafpool and J-Paw moved on, with Millie supported between them. Her head hung, but she didn't seem to have heard her mate's protests. Behind them came Longtail, guiding himself by the tip of Leafpool's tail. Briarkit dangled limply from his jaws like a piece of fresh kill. Lineblaze tensed. Was the tiny kid dead? Her tail twitched, and she let out an exhausted cough. Seeing she was still alive, Lineblaze relaxed, only to have his relief swallowed up in a wave of guilt. She needs catmint. They all do. When the sick cats had gone, Brambleclaw led the rest of the clan back into the stone hollow. Mousefur and Squirrelflight, the only cats remaining, were sitting together near the fresh kill pile. Mousefur rose and patted to meet them as they returned. "I should be with them," she snapped at Brambleclaw. "I could help. I'm an elder. It doesn't weaken the clan if I get sick." Brambleclaw dipped his head. "That's an offer worthy of a warrior," he replied. "But the clan values every cat, from the newest kit to the most senior elder." His amber eyes glinted. "I know you already asked Firestar, and he said no. Don't think you can get around me." "Pesky young cat. Thinks he knows everything," Mousefur muttered, turning her back. Instead of going to their den, the remaining cats huddled together in the center of the clearing, as if they were waiting for something. Lineblaze crouched beside his sister, his fur standing on end. The camp felt strange, as if it wasn't their home anymore. The stench of sickness still hung around it, and an eerie quiet covered everything. "I don't like this," Hollyleaf whispered. "I wonder how many of the sick cats will ever come back." "Don't!" Lineblaze dug his claws hard into the ground. "It's in the paws of StarClan," he muttered, knowing how hypocritical he was being. It seemed a long time, though the shadows had crept no more than a mouse length across the hollow, before Leafpool and J-Paw returned. "Good, you're all here." Leafpool meowed, padding towards the gathering of cats. "J-Paw, fetch me those strengthening herbs from our den." As J-Paw bounded off, she continued, "Every scrap of bedding has to be taken out of the dens and into the forest, and fresh bedding brought in." "What?" Icepaw, who had been grooming herself drowsily, raised her head. "I've been dragging moss around all day. Do we really have to get more? I'm worn out." "Every cat is worn out," Spiderleg added. "Can it wait until morning?" "Sure it can, if you want more cats to get sick," Leafpool retorted. Her tone softened as she added, "Every cat will be helping this time. It won't take long." J-Paw came back with the herbs, dropping a few leaves in front of every cat. Lineblaze felt his aching limbs fill with warmth as he swallowed them. "Let's get going," he mewed to Hollyleaf. "The sooner we get started, the sooner we'll be done." All the warriors headed out of camp to fetch fresh moss and bracken, while Icepaw, helped by while Icepaw, helped by Mousefur and Squirrelflight, cleared the old bedding out of the dens and carried it as far as the barrier to be disposed of outside. Leafle and Jaypaw checked the dens to make sure not a scrap of it remained behind. By the time it was all gone, the fresh bedding installed, the taint of sickness that had hung around the camp for so long had almost vanished. "This is better," Hollyleaf murmured as she settled down inside the warrior's den beside Lion Blaze. "Except it's strange with so many cats missing. I hope Firestar's plan works." Lion Blaze was already sliding into sleep, his eyes closed and his tail wrapped around over his nose. He was too exhausted for his warriors to keep him awake. But as he slid into darkness, his mind filled with a vision of catmint, thick, lush clumps of it, growing among rocks on the edge of the moor, just as Jaypaw had described. He leaped forward to bite off the stems, only to halt, trembling, on the bank of a river. The stream that marked the border with WindClan had swollen into a rushing scarlet torrent. The air was filled with the stench of blood, and the grasses on the edge of the river where Lion Blaze stood were splattered with it. He took a step back, horrified at the thought of blood sticking to his paws, and stiffened as he heard a familiar voice behind him. "Are you scared, little warrior?" Tigerstar taunted him. "Where's this power of yours now?" Bum 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 bum. Okay. Exactly 100 pages. We're good. We're good. We're good and golden. Let's start the battle. High ground. Ranged attacks. I don't think we need any of this. Killing field. Nice. Let's do this. Boom. Go. I like our little, like, cubes of area. Wasted. Dang, look at that guy. Yay! Yay! Woohoo! Wait. Let's make sure I'm giving it to you guys. We have Ash. And we have Phil. And we have... Okay, now it's just random. Who put the most in out of these people? Usa. Usa did. There we go. Yippee! Ooh, I want to collect some stuff. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Wonderful. Alright, guys. Thank you for hanging out, even though... Whoa! Wait, did you see that? Why is this one so crazy? Ah! Bonkers. Okay, that's what we're gonna do next time. Yeah. So... Luckily... Okay, I'm not sure if... I don't think I had more shifts when I spoke to you guys last. They have given me 2 more shifts in pharmacy, and tomorrow I'm working 5 to 1:30 again, and some of that is what I'm usually doing and the rest of it is pharmacy. Please grant me your love and support in these trying times, and hope that I don't have to talk to people tomorrow and I can maybe do stock. That'd be nice, I think. Why does this person have a giant... Oh. Sorry, I'm looking at She Raiders still. But because I'm working 5 till... Good night, Nerdo! You're a nerd, no! Oh! Asimofit, no! I'm just ending! Hello! How are you? Mothray! You're a moth! You're coming to Bright Lights. Oh my gosh, wait. You know what would be so cute as a raid alert for a moth is like following the bright light to you. You know? Like, we're following the bright, like, raid to follow the bright. You know what I mean? And then you're like saying like the person that you're raiding is like the bright light because you're following it because you're a little moth. That would be cute. That's so cute. Yeah! I don't know what the wording would be exactly, but I think that would be so cute. Let's read your beautiful poem. In the realm of streams, both light and dark, I mixed that up because I'm dyslexic, lives Asmofit, a VTuber with wings so bright. With a love for horror anime in sight, they flutter and chat through the interstate night. No recent tales to watch, no broadcasts in sight, but fear not, dear viewers, for with all their might, Asmofit will return to your screen, so hold tight for a chill, spooky podcast that's just out of sight. Oh, the content you'll see with Asmofit. Hooray! Stay tuned for the next show. Don't flutter away. I'm good. We just finished reading for today, and I was actually just wrapping up, saying I should be here tomorrow to stream. Just later. That was also interesting. That one is by, I believe, Frosty Tools. Frosty Tools has a bot that will kind of like look at your recent user data. So it will look at what you played recently and your stream titles. I'm not sure that it can read your description, but it might be able to, like, read your main description for your whatever you have on your channel, and then it turns it into whatever. Yeah! Let me follow you. Am I following you? I'm not. Now I am. Nice. Okay. Everybody go follow Osmafet before you go. Before I go. Before we find someone else to raid. Double raid. It's like a raid, power. A patubatu. You know what I mean? I don't even know what I mean. So luckily tomorrow, raid train next up. Yeah! Jumping through a portal. So I was thinking, because I can start work early tomorrow, I'll be finished 1:30. So I'll try and start stream between 4 and 5 again. Hopefully 4:30. It depends on my mental state. But I want to stream tomorrow because I won't be able to stream on Saturday since I'll be working. And tomorrow I'll be getting my schedule, so I'll be able to see when they have scheduled me for stuff. If they scheduled me a lot for pharmacy, I might ask them if it's possible for me to do double shifts in that I do SPC and pharmacy so that I'm not staying there for the entire day. And then I can do more work for them and also be happy. Be happy and alive, maybe? Question mark? All right. We're going to raid Reki, who is streaming Pokemon Rogue. Pokemon Rogue? This is a game that my roommate was super duper obsessed with. And maybe you'll have fun. Yeah! Raid. Oh my god, he looks so cool. I think I saw this guy's model and I was like, wow, he looks cool. And I followed him based off that. Okay. Thank you so much! And thank you again for the lovely raid. Guys, make sure you follow Asmofet before you head over to Reki. Thank you guys for hanging out with me, even though it was my Warrior Cat stream. You know what I think about it? I know that my Warrior Cat stream really lowers my my Twitch stats because it's not a consistent and it's not a popular one of my streams. So it's like I'll have a good amount of CCV for the rest of my streams, and then I'll have Workout Wednesday where it just drops. But I love it too much to not just keep going with it. I can't drop it. It's too fun. I look forward to it every week. So even if it sucks, it's for my own love and for the people that love it too, and hang out even if they don't care what the heck I'm doing. Thank you again for hanging out with me today. I'll see you tomorrow, hopefully. We'll do something that doesn't require brain power, probably. I don't know what that'll be, but we'll figure it out. I love you guys. Bye bye. Bye bye bye. Have a good night. Bye. So dark, so